Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 48. I am your host. With me, as always, my co-host, and teenage son Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hi.
You love the co-host part, eh?
Yeah.
It's true, so why not throw that in there, right?
I think it's necessary.
So it's another Saturday morning. We're down a little bit early trying to get the first half of this taken care of because it's another beautiful day here in Southern Ontario, and I want to get out by the pool.
I don't. Well, I
was already doing some pool maintenance with our outdoor cat.
Yeah, not our actual cat, but
it looks exactly like
the
our
neighborhood cat.
Yeah, we have a cat
His face is kind of different.
We have a cat who is indoor cat only, like doesn't even want to go outside. But
well, she has tried, but then there's like times like earlier she just sat there and like even when the door.
You literally have to step over her to get out.
Right.
And she just sits there.
Remember she was like cat loafing in front of the door and she just stayed there.
Yep.
Like
she just
sometimes she tries to peek out and then sometimes she just could not care less.
So she's a tabby, and then our neighbors a few doors down have a tabby that's an outdoor cat, and he
used to live on the street that's like behind us, Red Castle or whatever. But then I think his actual owners got a dog or something. So now he lives a couple doors down from us.
And he just wanders outside. And
even when he lived on that back street, because they're like the people on that street, their backyards were like right. In front of our backyard, so he would still like be around, and so
he just roams the neighborhood and does whatever he wants, and he's a pretty friendly cat.
Eats squirrels, eats grass.
So I was doing some pool maintenance, and he showed up on the fence, and then just followed me around as I was skimming the pool and whatnot.
When I came out, I found him under the trampoline.
Shout out to Joey, our outdoor cat of the neighborhood.
Yes.
Well, welcome back. If you're a regular listener, welcome. If you're not, there's a few things we need to remind you of. It's a busy week for us podcasting, right?
Oh yeah, we did Takeover and Impact.
So I have an ROH solo mission from Monday, episode 508.
If we did miss any matches, it's his fault.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did, but if we did,
it would be my fault.
Let him know.
We did Takeover in Your House review,
do that.
And we did an Against All Odds Impact
where I was building Lego.
Yeah, and you were building Lego.
Because I got a mosaic set, and so I'm
You're gonna knock that off today?
I'm 2 rows done. So basically, it's like the little Lego studs are how you make it.
Yes.
And they're on like these 9 separate
panel
panel thingies, and then you attach those with Technic pins. So I've done 6 of them so far.
It's gonna look cool when it's done.
And then I also got the one I was building on the pod was the little May the 4th promo.
Yeah, little bonus kit that comes if you spend the right amount of money at the right time, right?
Yeah,
I guess,
like
basically.
between like May 1st and 5th, so like the May 4th range.
Yeah, so you'll probably finish that up today, I would guess, eh?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank our listeners. I usually say some incremental growth, a little bit more than that this month. Again, on the stats I can see, I really don't know how to access a lot of stuff, but from what I can see, like 30% growth this month, which is awesome. So thank you everybody that's listening and telling somebody else to.
We are approaching a full year.
Yeah, we are very close 52. To a full year. We started just before your birthday in July of last year,
which is how in the end 52 weeks in a year. So 52nd episode will be. I'm trying to think what we can do for like a. I want to do something.
I know, but I'm not super motivated to, so you might have to figure something out. We'll try. I don't know. Out. But so a beautiful day here. We're going to head and get our booster juice in between. We usually take a little break, so we don't have our update on what we're drinking right now. It'll be coming up at the second half, you can expect. But I don't know, buddy, anything else you want to discuss? School's almost over, second last week. How was it? Your teachers have given up. You've given up. It's great. It's a good combination.
Yeah, it's weird because next week's my last full week, but then I have to go in on Monday.
Right.
Sort of.
Oh, actually to the building?
No.
Oh, you have to be online.
Just
I was going to say.
That's what I mean.
And your school had a little surprise for you. You got your grade 8 grad sign and a bag of popcorn, right? Was their little grad gift to you?
I was watching Thor that day, so that was good.
And your grad is online, and then somebody's having a little outdoor get-together this week.
And then there's a drive-through thing.
Oh, there is a drive-through grad as well.
It's a lot of crap.
It is, but it's kind of a big deal. It's funny because
if you're like me,
a big deal. You don't care about your graduations that much, but the people who care about you do. It's a bigger deal to them.
Which I find is weird.
I know, but you'll understand when you're an adult and you care about some young children in your life, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not really that big of a deal.
I know. I felt the same way. It's not a big deal to you. It's a big deal to me and mom and grandma and grandpa and all those people that have known you since you were a 4-pound premature baby and now a big, strapping, lanky grade 8 child.
Oh, yeah, I'm taller than mom.
You are officially taller than mom. We just noticed the other day. So that's big. Not that she's tall by any means, but...
She is not tall.
She is not tall, but you are taller. So anyways, I say we start talking about some wrestling. What do you think? Some news and rumors?
No.
No, you always say no, but then I just steamroll you and we do it anyways. So let's get
in a video, they're like, we should, like, whatever they were talking about, and then the one guy's just like, no.
Well, we're going to. So our first segment is always going to be news and rumors.
Oh, yeah, what's the situation for ratings?
I do have ratings.
For both?
I'll try and make sense of them. Well, it won't be for last night's, obviously, for Dynamite. Boo. So this week's Tuesday edition, last week's, we'll go with Dynamite first. So that's the June 11th, so not last night's episode, but the week before. They've not been doing well on Fridays. That trend sort of continues. 487 viewers on TNT, up 5% from last week, but still really low if you look at their history.
I thought this week's show was pretty good.
I think it's just, again, it's the time slot. It's super
the
awkward,
time slot
right?
Is
and
helping.
A 0.19 in the key demographic, which is the exact same as last week. So to contrast and compare, Tuesday's live edition of NXT on their normal time and spot drew 695,000 viewers on USA Network.
Did they do better?
They're up 3.9% from the week before.
Did they do better?
What do you mean, better than AEW?
Yeah.
Yes, by like 200,000.
So Vince could argue we're doing better than
winning.
Dynamite.
Yeah, there'll be some, they'll put out some like documentary special on the network about how they crushed AEW for just these weeks. Like, this will be the only time they talk about it.
Right, like when they're not in their usual slot because of...
They won't mention that. That's just details.
Because they're on a major network that has other stuff.
The major point is they won. Everything else is details. Doesn't matter everything else. Right. They also had a 0.19 in the demographic. Same as last week. Same as NXT for this week as well. So NXT, I guess if you're saying wins, quote unquote, overall... in viewership, but tied in
pretty
the key
low
demographic.
Win, though.
Yeah. So what do you have any news for us?
Yeah. Speaking of ratings, so WWE is looking for.
We're back to our segues.
I just
speaking of ratings,
happen to have a good segue. So WWE's had quite the ratings drop as of late, so they're looking for, ways
to boost it.
To help that.
Are they though? Are they? Do they care? They don't. I don't see a lot of evidence that they care. Making more money than ever with the lowest ratings ever. But anyways, carry on.
That's true. So apparently they might bring back Raw Roulette, which would be interesting.
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
King of the Ring, the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I like that too if they do it right.
That would be
tournament,
awesome.
Right? I'm a tournament guy.
And old school Raw and maybe a variation of Cyber Sunday / Taboo Tuesday, which that would suck.
Going back to the classics, eh?
Right. I feel like maybe the Cyber Sunday and / Taboo Tuesday concept would work better in this internet age.
There was always debate of Cyber Sunday whether it was actually the fans' vote that they were honoring or if they just decided what they...
I don't know, because I remember the one when I was watching a Cultaholic ranking of the year's pay-per-views that they were pushing for JBL or whatever, but the fans wanted someone else, so...
But that's also a story they would tell if they wanted to throw you off the scent of, just rigged it all. I remember when Impact was doing it, and Nigel McGuinness kept winning. They were voting for who you wanted to have a title shot or something. And Nigel McGuinness kept surprising them. And he was awesome, man, in the ring. I'm not going to lie.
And so then I have a follow-up thing as well. I found a couple links regarding this whole thing that they are maybe instead going to go with some sports-themed shows in a multi-brand World Cup.
What would that look like? Oh.
Even though, they already did a World Cup, which Shane McMahon won.
Oh my god, I completely forgot
that. So something based around NBC Sports.
Interesting. That would not get you interested.
Suggested NASCAR-driven events to tie in with major races.
Nope. No, thank you.
An NFL night to coincide with the launch of Sunday Night Football.
I guess.
Just drawing and but I just think that's so stupid.
They're just being what do people actually watch, and how can we try and bring some over, right? Yeah.
Right, because, you're going to watch Raw once and be like, ooh, this is so good.
So good.
Right.
Well, I mean, actually...
It's really good right now.
If you only see it once, you might think it's good because you don't see that it's the exact same show for 5 or 6 weeks at a time. Because the reviews I listen to, the one podcast, they're getting angry because they're like, our fans are going to think we're just putting out the same podcast every week. But no, it's actually that Raw and SmackDown are basically the same every week.
Right.
All right, so my other one that we just talked about before we started recording is that Piper Niven debuted on Raw, I guess, as Eva Marie's muscle.
Right, and so the weird way this went about is Eva Marie was supposed to debut, in-ring, or return in-ring, I guess, so to speak, and Piper Niven just took her place in the match, and then Eva Marie announced herself as the winner anyways, and also
is that what happened?
Naomi got jobbed out.
I didn't even know that. Oh, poor Naomi.
Right.
She's talented. Apparently her name is going to be, I don't know if it is already, did they announce it? Dewdrop?
They haven't announced it yet, but that's
ridiculous,
brutal.
but...
And, like, they were pretending like they're doing their hardest to, like, who is this?
That's what I was just going to say.
She was,
Commentary
like, a
acted
top
like they'd
star
never heard
in
of her.
NXT UK.
Yep.
Like, recently, remember she was teaming with Jack Stars or whatever? Like, recently.
She had 2 title shots.
Right,
not
and
that long
she
ago.
doesn't look even that different at all. Like, she's same ring attire, like, same look, like...
I do like her. I think she's good, and I think...
Not even like Commander Z/Dabakato, where, like, he changed his, like, gear at least.
No, she looks exactly the same. I like her. She has a different look and a different size and shape, obviously, which I think is always interesting to sort of mix it up. So we'll see how they book her. But yeah, I always find it weird, the commentary act. They have no idea who this person is, but she's
Especially
on your
when she
television
looks,
programming
like,
every week.
Indifferent.
So that tells you how much they think people are watching UK, right? It's a little indication of, hey, you guys aren't watching UK, so we can just pretend she's brand new. Anything else for you?
Apparently Vince McMahon is high on a certain star, and it's...
You told me.
Reginald.
Amazing. I don't know much.
Reginald.
I don't know much about Reginald because I don't watch it much, but I know he's like an acrobat or something, right?
Can't be based on his in-ring stuff, because from what I've seen, he sucks, and outside the ring, from what I've seen, he sucks.
Wow,
so,
that is some in-depth analysis from Jackson.
He's garbage.
Sucks in rings, sucks out of the ring.
He is garbage.
I don't know. I haven't seen much of him.
He's a piece of garbage.
Easy. That's like a personal attack. You can say he's not good in the ring and
bad.
stuff. That's fine. This one's a rumor. I don't even know where I pulled it from, but just because I want this to be the case, is that Kaylee Ray could be heading to NXT proper, like the US version, after losing the belt in what was, I thought, a pretty good match to Meiko Satomura. If you want to see a hard-hitting women's match, that would be one I would recommend. I'd be all for this. I do watch UK, and I would like her there too, but there's just that talent roster in NXT, right? That, like, think about matches with her and Io, Dakota, Candice, Frankie Monet, Gonzalez, any of those. Kaylee Ray is an awesome wrestler. I think she's one of my favorite, probably, women's wrestlers. So if she came to NXT, a show that I watched carefully and review,
there, I remember, because she was on
she was
Baszler's War Games team.
Yep, she's awesome. I like her quite a bit. Anything else from you?
Another NXT related.
Speaking of NXT,
thing. Yeah,
there you go.
There were a couple of NXT champions backstage at SmackDown last night.
Ooh.
Cross and Bronson Reed were apparently at SmackDown for dark matches.
Feel free to keep one of them. Just keep them there.
I would take both of them, because then you would have to give the North American title to Swerve.
I actually like Reed, though, and I think he's developing, so I would like him to stay.
Yeah, but I want Swerve to have the belt.
Well, he will.
This would be an easy
way
to
don't
give
worry.
Swerve the belt.
He would. He will.
But yeah, you can have Cross for sure, and if you took Reed, I would be indifferent. But take Cross, thanks.
ROH, they had no COVID outbreaks during this entire pandemic. And I don't even know if that's newsworthy. I just wanted to point out that at least one wrestling company, they really took things seriously. I heard about how they did things. They were basically isolating people in hotels for however long before they had matches and stuff. So they were extremely cautious, and I think it may have even annoyed some of their talent, I'm sure. But I say good for them. They've gotten through that. Not through it. I think like we're almost through it, right? In the States, maybe even a little further than us in some areas. But they have had 0 outbreaks, so I just thought that was a cool thing to say. Yeah.
Well, I've got some news regarding your favorite tag team. Good Brothers are set to return.
Retirement. Oh, returned. I thought you said retired.
New Japan Pro Wrestling to compete in the Tag Team Turbulence tournament.
Keep them.
Which is on Strong.
Keep them there.
On Strong.
Just keep them. I don't know. I mean, Anderson, fine.
But then
Gallows.
they would stink up Japan again.
I don't watch it though currently, so.
That's.
Yeah, selfishly, it's all about me. I'm Tennille Dashwood right now.
But then you're not gonna want to watch it.
That's true. I would like to get back. Maybe G1 this summer if we have time.
Okay.
So MLW owner and CEO Court Bauer said some interesting things about working as part of the creative team with WWE, which he did for several years. So Court Bauer, I really like him. I've listened to him a lot. He used to have a podcast with John Pollock that I really liked. I find him to just be like a really intelligent and fair guy, which is why even though I don't regularly watch MLW, I root for it and I sort of check in with it every now and then. So here are some quotes of his that seem to confirm what we kind of suspect and talk about. You ready? I have, I think, 3 that I thought were interesting. First one, you are ultimately just a suggester to an audience of 1, and then the family surrounding him, which kind of amplifies and cheerleads that dynamic. Some people struggle with it, some people fight it, some people try to work around it. It's a real weird experience. So basically saying, everything you do, you have to think about Vince. And then really, the only people he will talk to it about are his family, who just sort of feel the same way, like amplify his opinion, right? So it's basically like, yes, people. So if Vince likes it, guess what? They're going to like it. Next one. So this is him talking about being a creative writer, right? You try to check off the boxes that the boss wants you to check off. And even if you can successfully do that, there's an agent meeting. Then the head writer writes the script. And then you go to the production stuff, and by the time it actually airs, it has mutated so much from whatever the original intent was. It's like, I don't know what the idea was. And you're the person that came up with the idea. But by the time it gets from your brain to television, it's gone through several other people, and it is now not what you planned, basically. Last one. And then there's stuff you don't know about, yeah, you can't push that guy. And we have no idea what's happened. We don't know if there's a contract issue. We don't know if that guy has heat for some random reason. We're just told he's on the do not disturb list. But it's always kicked back as, oh, creative has nothing for you. No, creative has something for someone.
But you can't pitch it.
It may not be the best idea. It might be a horrible idea, and you wish they didn't have anything for you. But that was an excuse built out of talent relations to pass the heat, especially when firing someone. Instead of saying, hey man, you're a pain in the butt, or we can't do payroll or something with you at the moment. So basically saying, when they say, we don't have anything for you, that's just a cop-out. They're just pushing the sort of blame on the creative people, right? And saying, well, creative can't come up with anything for you, where he's like, not necessarily. That's just a way to save face. So I thought those were all story checks out quotes, right? Confirming kind of exactly what we expected. Yeah, sorry, what else do you have?
Now Nakamura beat Corbin on SmackDown. It's now, quote unquote, the one true king of WWE. So I guess the crown is his now, and so I guess I don't know how to feel about that.
So if I steal your phone right now and say it's my phone, you have to fight me for it. That's basically what happened, right? You just steal their property, and then you have a match for it, and you win it.
Right, and so I guess he's officially king of strong style, I guess, with the crown. But
yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this. It's WWE, so I will see. Take it with a grain of salt or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
And Corbin will maybe have to have a gimmick change then.
Nice.
Not that I care.
No, he's kind of boring.
Suck.
My last one is that Ultimate X is returning to Slammiversary with Impact Wrestling, which I'm pretty excited about.
I'll watch that for sure.
Those matches are really fun, and right now, I keep saying it right, the talent in that division is awesome.
And they don't do a lot of them, I don't think,
Just
anymore.
did the check. Do you see my glance to see if it is plugged in? Okay. So that was we're plugged in.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of Ultimate X matches like they used to.
And they can get pretty nuts.
Impact is so different from they even just their look in general, because I guess they used to be based in where were they based? Orlando.
Yeah, the Impact Zone. So it was funny because they were in a theme park. I forget which one.
Oh, Universal.
And so I think so. And so basically, if you were at Universal that day, you could go into Impact and watch for free. So a lot of times it's not even wrestling fans that are in there, right? It's just people getting out of the heat, or what is this sort of thing.
That's funny.
So that was kind of an interesting dynamic. Do you have any? I'm done for news. So what else? Do you have anything else?
A Hell in a Cell card update. Cesaro versus Rollins and Owens versus Zayn have been added.
Right, I did see that.
Those matches, those won't be bad, but they're both Mania rematches.
That's tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Okay, so maybe we'll review that one as well.
Preview?
Monday night, maybe.
Yeah, we can
preview it today, possibly. I think there's not a ton of matches I saw.
Yeah, I think there's 6.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw.
So I don't know. These could be good, but again, the main roster style there, and we saw these at Mania.
Yeah, I feel like for us main roster pay-per-views, we've liked them, but they're sort of
just not A
range, right?
Not that interesting.
No.
Even
I mean, we're not watching
and
the product
so many
either,
of these matches are retreads. You got Belair versus Bayley, Lashley, McIntyre. Those 2 matches I just mentioned.
Yep.
And one of the new matchups, Reigns and Mysterio, and their Hayek match, the Hell in a Cell, Hayek. It was moved to SmackDown, which apparently USA, which is Raw's network, they're not happy about that. And so now Belair and Bayley is Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
Which.
Kinda, I guess. But still, none of them feel... I shouldn't say that, because I'm not watching week to week. But I don't feel like any of them are bitter enough.
I'm keeping
I follow through other things.
I think that's a fair statement.
Right.
Just because I'm at least keeping in touch
I keep up with it by listening to other people talk about it and reading a bit, but I don't watch it.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just... Hell in a Cell is... just a cage match now.
It is. Any other news from you?
No.
All right, I am also done news. So let's move into talking about our first in-depth show of the week, and that will be NXT.
No.
Yep. So the show starts this week with a video recap of In Your House from Sunday night. Obviously, that we have our review. We enjoyed it. I think I gave it a B+. It was fun. Like,
I don't remember what I gave it.
Some of the builds and things weren't ideal, but the actual in-ring matches I thought were pretty fun. Yep. So there's a quick few highlights from each match, along with the finishing sequence where Regal seemed to be hinting at his departure. And they still have a crowd for the show this week, which is nice. And right away, they're going to address the finish of that pay-per-view by having Regal come out to address his current situation with NXT. He does a really good job of sounding really emotional and like almost crying, basically, right? And talks about his history with the company, including calling the first ever takeover.
He did wrestle a match, too,
on commentary.
Cesaro, at least.
He did, yep. He praises the talent at NXT, the amazing places they've traveled to, including his hometown at one point. He starts to cry now, but he still just keeps talking. He puts over the wrestlers, the commentators, most of all the fans, for taking them to cities all over the United States. With the chaos in NXT right now, he's given all he can. He's not capable of giving the fans what they deserve anymore.
I like him.
So he says it's time for him too, and then he's cut off by Karrion Kross's theme. And Kross is in a suit this week, so he's really experimenting with his wardrobe these days.
I find he looks dumb every time, though.
I like the suit better than just like normal casual clothes.
What did he wear before?
He's worn t-shirts and stuff lately, right?
He should wear his cloak or whatever.
Kross says that he knew this day would come and that they had to come out and see it for themselves. He mocks Regal for crying, calls him pathetic. He told Regal that he had lost control weeks ago. When he punched a hole in the Mount Rushmore of NXT, he proved that he brought chaos. He wants Regal to say he's done, walk away, and never come back. He demands that Regal say Kross was right. And then Samoa Joe's theme hits.
Samoan Joe.
And he is also wearing a suit when he comes out. Joe says Regal wanted to speak with him. Regal says that he kind of meant later, but since you're there, they'll talk about it now. And he basically offers Joe the job of GM of NXT. Joe sort of drags it out a little and says absolutely not, but he'll explain. For 7 years, Regal found the best talent and made the company an international phenomenon. So he kind of makes a counteroffer. He said he admits he made life tough for Regal when he was in NXT, but he does respect Regal. He walks up to Kross while saying he'll make sure Regal gets respect from everybody.
I want Joe to wrestle.
Sort of implying he's going to make sure Kross is sort of giving him the respect he deserves.
Yes, beat up Kross.
Regal says it's an interesting idea, but Joe can't be the competitor, and Joe can't lay a hand on anyone unless he's provoked. And Joe accepts what we at this point weren't quite sure what he was accepting, right? Like what position was exactly offered here? What did he accept other than he's somehow involved, he can't touch anyone?
Unless he's provoked.
Right. So this was... Sorry, what did you think about it? I'll let you talk first.
So it seems, I guess, Joe isn't GM, but
no.
I think based on what happened in the show, he seems
they do
to be
clarify
the muscle.
Right.
I guess, which I don't really like either.
He's his enforcer, but he can't put his hands on people.
That's even worse. Unless provoked.
Right.
I hope not. That leads me to my only complaint, which is I thought the promo was good enough. Like, I thought Regal did good.
You did great.
Kross was Kross. And Joe, I like to see Joe again.
Yep.
But there's a lot of unanswered questions. I think this is a cool start, though.
As a segment that felt like it was supposed to clarify things, it kind of didn't at first.
Right. I'm happy to see Samoa Joe again. I really hope he does become a wrestler if he's cleared. Because
obviously, if he's healthy, I'd love to see him wrestle.
Right.
He's awesome.
He's Samoa Joe.
I thought this was a lengthy segment, emotional. I thought Regal did an amazing... Like, I thought he was actually retiring and was going to be done here.
Yeah, I honestly don't... Like, I feel like he's one of the GMs that I've actually liked. Like,
me too.
Because, like, through his tenure, we've gotten, like, Shane and Brian, and... Like, Brian was okay, but, like, the main roster ones, they're all, like... And you had, like, Corbin and, like...
I think with Regal, he's never overexposed. He's just on TV
and
enough.
He's just, like... He's never been heel. He's never been really face.
But
he does what he's supposed to do.
Those things seem to go together, that once you have the heel authority figure, they're constantly involved in the show, right? Whereas he is just sort of there occasionally, I think the right amount.
He's just, like, the straight man.
I don't get tired of him.
He does what's right. I don't know. Yeah, I like him. He's good in this role.
So I liked the performance, but I thought at the end I was still unclear on what was going on GM-wise.
Yeah, that's probably the only, like, takeaway.
So I didn't know if Joe was agreeing to a match. Joe was like, it was confusing to me, but they did sort of explain it a little bit later, I guess, or clarify it. So I liked the performances, but left it a little bit confused. We then get grizzled young veterans speak. They say they heard the disrespectful things that Ciampa and Thatcher said about them, and they're used to it. Tonight, there's no excuse. They'll find out they're the grizzled young veterans, and tonight they'll kick Thatcher and Ciampa's heads in. Just a brief promo. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was good. I think it was mostly Gibson, but he's really good.
He is. My only comment was I thought it was good too, but I prefer when he has a live crowd to play off of, like when he's just doing his promos in front of a live crowd. I feel like he sort of feeds off that. But yeah, Gibson's really good on the mic. He's like an old school, straightforward heel promo guy, right? And I like him as well. So our first match of the night gives us Imperium versus Breezango, as Imperium are trying to get revenge for all the losses or failures they've had. So they're starting out with Breezango because Walter wants them to sort of clean things up a little bit. So Breeze and Bartel start out with holds and counters. We get slaps, chops, and stomps by Bartel to gain an advantage. Jawbreaker by Breeze. He tags out quickly. Eichner then is working Fandango's arm for a bit. Fandango chops his way to the corner, hits a standing leg drop. Breeze misses an attack to the outside, but Fandango hits a dive over the top to both heels. Fandango up top, but Eichner knocks him off into the ring. Uppercut exchange and a knee to the midsection by Fandango. Fandango is playing the face in peril here and is getting body slammed by Archer, who tags Bartel to continue with strikes and knees. Fandango does eventually make the tag Breeze. He knocks Eichner off the apron and backdrops Bartel to the floor. Instead of a hot tag, Eichner just runs over Breeze with a clothesline, because you're expecting, right, that Breeze is coming in for a hot tag because Fandango's been isolated and worked on for a while. So I kind of like this because the hot tag is just Eichner runs him over with the clothesline, kicks Fandango off the apron to the floor, but gets rolled up by Tyler Breeze for the 3 count. Then there's an immediate post-match attack by Imperium, forearm powerbomb combo to Tyler Breeze, and they cover him with an Imperium flag. What did you think of this first match of the night?
I thought it was a decent match, but it
That's
felt
exactly
really
my
short.
word of choice. Yeah.
There wasn't much notable in my opinion before the roll-up finished. It was just like, it was really short and just like it never really got to kick off in my opinion. Yep. Just like kind of ended before it really began.
Yep.
I thought so, a decent match, I guess, for what it was, but nothing really amazing or notable.
I felt very similar. I thought it was decent and it kept me interested, right? I wouldn't call it a hot opener by any means, but I would say I enjoyed it, right? I didn't dislike it, and I'm just thinking, obviously, this is now Walter's really not going to be pleased with Imperium, right? Because this was the first step of them trying to set things right, and they failed there. So I imagine they're going to have to answer to Walter in the near future. Cole and O'Reilly are then being separated backstage again. There's constant chaos going on backstage. I guess it's Regal's point, like he's kind of lost control. So Regal is actually there in between the two of these guys. He says that they're going to have a straight up match, sort of like Enough is Enough. You're going to have a straight up singles match at Great American Bash. And next week they can choose their own opponents. And I sort of missed this and had to go back and fix it. I thought
they chose each other's opponents.
So did I.
They've done that before in WWE, right?
That kind of makes more sense.
Right, because like it's like strategic, I guess.
I had to go back and fix my notes because I actually thought that's what was happening.
Sense.
Right. O'Reilly breaks free for a moment, attacks Cole. Cole puts his hands on Joe during the melee, so that is Joe being provoked. So Joe immediately chokes out Adam Cole.
And I don't...
What'd you think?
One,
talk about it.
Don't choke out my boy. And 2... This is, I don't know, I just think Joe deserves a better role than this.
Yeah,
I just think, and this is overall, like, fine. I'm very excited. Like, these guys are getting just, like, a straight match, because that's going to be awesome.
So I guess, as I'm thinking it through now, it's making a bit more sense. Regal's issue is that he's lost control. So I guess
he's establishing
he's like
control.
The assistant GM is Joe, whose main role is to just get control of these guys backstage sort of thing. Which, I don't know if I love it, but I guess that's becoming more
Joe
clear.
Just be the sole GM then at that point.
That might be the transition at some point, or maybe he turns heel. But anyways, so I guess this is where I was like, my notes are like, okay, so Regal's the GM and Joe is the heavy, I guess. I thought Joe looked cool here, but it didn't do Cole any favors, right? He immediately gets choked out by a non-wrestler who's in a executive role or whatever.
It is Samoa Joe.
It is.
But, not cool, dude.
But, like, if Joe isn't wrestling, right, he shouldn't get to kill guys that will never get a chance to get anything back against them, right? Like if he can't wrestle anymore.
Right. So then that does give me some hope that he can wrestle.
Because it seems weird that if he's going to be choking people out backstage,
he can't get his comeuppance.
They can never get back at him.
Right.
But at least we get a Cole O'Reilly match on TV, coming up, the pay-per-view.
TV special.
Yeah, it's whatever they call them. So I'm okay with that. That match should be amazing, obviously.
I think Great American Bash, it's one of their few, TV specials.
Yeah, I think so, too. So that'll be fun.
Because they did that last year. That was when Lee won, the double title match.
There's not much chance that that's a bad match, right?
That was a really sad moment, actually.
Kushida is then shown walking towards the ring for his open challenge. And then we get Escobar speaking about the events at In Your House. He says it was a tragedy. He looked at that championship, and it was like nothing he'd ever seen in his life. But then Reed came and put him through a wall.
Wasn't he literally cruiserweight champion? Wouldn't it be kind of like that?
But better.
I guess.
He says no one does that to Escobar. Reed revealed a weakness because Reed had no other way to take him out. He'll take them all out one by one, and he'll take the title and be the next North American champion. Thoughts?
This is good. I like Escobar, and at least this is a reminder that he's staying in this division.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought the promo was good, and it lets us know that it wasn't just a quick blip chance at this title. It's extending the feud, and I'm hoping he eventually does win the title, so I'm okay with the...
I'd rather Swerve.
I know, but there's lots of time, right? We don't have to, hotshot people right now.
Swerve is cool now.
He is cool now. So I thought this was a decent promo.
And they're not smart enough to keep him cool for a long time.
Well, they might be. It's NXT. Gotta have hope. We then get a sort of Trey Baxter, formerly known as Blake Christian on the Indies. He was briefly in Impact a little while ago as well.
I'm surprised you didn't recognize him at first because you were like...
I recognized him. I just couldn't remember his previous name.
Yeah.
He says he's all heart and it's his way of life. He signed at NXT for new challenges, and the open challenge is a dream match, and after tonight we will know his name. I still kind of don't, but I appreciate the effort. I'll probably remember it. What did you think?
It was good. It was basic, and I guess it gives you a general idea. He's going to be babyface, and he is...
I'm a generic babyface.
And he is Cruiserweight Boy.
That's correct.
He's flying and cruiserweighting. And
I thought this was just a standard generic babyface promo, but from what I've seen, he is good in the ring. Really, lots of high flying with this guy, so a nice addition probably, but not the most charismatic guy, not the greatest guy on the mic that I've ever seen, but he's in a developmental capacity, right? So maybe he can learn. So we then get the open challenge match for the Cruiserweight Championship. It is Kushida defending against this very Trey Baxter. So we get a trip and some holds by Kushida to start out. Baxter with a headlock and then an acrobatic escape and then a Hurricane Rana.
Acrobatic escape.
Showing that's like he did some sort of handspring flipping thing that I didn't feel like summarizing. He shows his quickness and athleticism early. We get a kick and a springboard elbow by Baxter. So remember this, where they botched this spot twice, was really strange in the ropes. Basically, Kushida's backed up against the ropes.
He's trying to flip over.
And as he's getting hit, he's supposed to flip over the ropes, either onto the apron or the floor or something, but he doesn't. And then so they kind of do take two, and he still doesn't. So then he just kind of drops down and drags Baxter outside, and they go back to the same kind of area later. So that was a major, a rare kind of botch in a match on NXT.
I felt it really took away from this.
A little bit, yes, because everything else I thought was really good. We get a leg kick to knock Kushida down, then a huge twisting flip over the ropes by Baxter as O'Reilly wanders out to scout possible opponents. I put for Cole, but I guess for himself, right? Because we decided they're picking their own opponents.
Which sucks.
Atomic drop and a palm strike by Kushida, handspring drop kick by Kushida, and an enziguri. Baxter hits a nice handspring rebound kick. We get a strike exchange, another palm strike, but a standing Spanish fly by Baxter. Springboard 450 by Baxter for 2. Hoverboard lock, and Kushida drops Baxter from the top rope, applies the lock again on the mat, and Baxter does have to tap out. O'Reilly comes into the ring and challenges Kushida to a match next week, and Kushida accepts. What did you think of this?
So I thought this was good, but I think this and Baxter's debut was hindered by that major botch. That was good enough, but I thought it could have been better, and I think if Baxter was if they're trying to portray him as a high flyer, I feel like they could have done a better job of that as well.
Yeah, it wasn't super lengthy match, and I agree the awkward botch where they did not do a great job of getting back to where they wanted to, I didn't think. It was sort of it's one thing when you make a mistake, but then it's how quickly you recover from it, right? Because sometimes
Which they did not do.
They did not. Sometimes I don't even care at all because I'm like, oh, they made a quick recovery. I barely noticed, no big deal. But this was for me, it was like a glaring issue kind of in the middle of this.
Right.
I don't know whose fault it was. It didn't look good. Outside of that, I thought it was a pretty fun match. Baxter is really a high flyer. He showcased some cool offense. For me personally, he runs the risk of doing stuff for stuff's sake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just doing a ton of flippy, high flying stuff when he doesn't necessarily need to. But I think the open challenge is a really good sort of gimmick for Kushida right now. It gives him a simple story each week, since they don't seem to be willing to develop him as a character at all, and he's not obviously great cutting English promos, I don't think, at this point. So to their credit, they know he can wrestle in the ring, and they've sort of found a way to have him wrestle all the time without having him sort of...
I am happy that I don't hate him.
Yeah, me too. We used to be like... There's many episodes of this podcast where like, I just don't see it, man. Like, I don't even see it in the ring. He's supposed...
Right, I think it's after that Gargano
Yes,
match.
it was. Where we're like, oh, this guy's good.
And
then it became,
right.
But we need to see it again because maybe it's the Gargano effect, right?
And then now, I think
he's good in the ring.
Whether he's just like adapted to the style now,
or we're used to him, or he got better, whatever it is, we do enjoy him in ring now, which is nice to say. Frankie Monet tells us that next week will be the encore performance of her NXT debut. She runs into Jesse.
kind of like it, like just with her character that she like has to phrase it like that.
Yes,
like
everything's a little bit more dramatic and bigger with her, right? She runs into Jesse Kamea and Aaliyah and tells them she thought they had their match at Takeover, which is funny because they weren't on Takeover.
It was like a online exclusive,
right?
Whatever.
Not even on the pre-show of Takeover. It was, and somehow,
right, like they passed off Stark and Storm's match as Takeover, and that was at least on the pre-show.
This is another step removed from that,
right?
And somehow, even though I'm the guy that complains about them doing stuff on the internet, I did see most of this match, if not all of it. It's about what you would expect. Robert Stone walks up, and she says that she was telling his team to listen to him more. Stone leaves, and Kamea and Aaliyah share like what I thought was a meaningful glance while saying, yeah, we'll listen to Stone more, but it was kind of like an as-if look between the two of them, so I don't know where that's going. What did you think of this little segment?
This is okay, but it involved the Robert Stone brand, so that's not a great way to make me interested.
That's kind of how I felt. I don't need Frankie Monet tangled up with this group for long. It might just be a quick, because she's going to beat both of them to sort of establish herself, right?
Or because she talks to everyone.
But I just want her to destroy them and move on, because I don't want her tangled up with these guys either.
Yeah.
Mercedes Martinez is watching footage of her being dominated by Tien Sha at In Your House.
Domination.
She says she'll take out Boa again. She's one-on-one with Zaya now. Next time, Shaw won't be able to get up out of her chair because Mercedes is going to knock her right out of it. And that was pretty much it. What did you think? Mercedes angry.
It was good. It was basic, but it was good.
I liked it. I thought the final line felt a little bit overly scripted. It's not how people talk generally, right? But it is the world of wrestling, so I thought it was fine. The $1 Million belt is on display in the ring, and DiBiase is introduced.
$1 Million championship? How dare you?
Whatever. What are you, Vince McMahon? Don't say belt. You can't say belt.
You are not. You just said it 2 more times. You can't do that.
You're fired.
You are fired.
DiBiase
better not sneeze.
About finding someone worthy of his $1 Million legacy, and he throws to an LA Knight video full of his highlights and promo clips and stuff. Knight is shown driving up in a Corvette, so I thought that's interesting. So NXT, the professional company they are, they literally start a segment without the guy even in the building. That seems a little risky to me. Like, he's on his way. I'm sure he'll get here in time.
He just doesn't show up until the end of the show.
Right. Knight comes out, I thought, looking pretty cool in a red leather jacket here, shades of Michael Jackson, and he is getting booed really loudly.
How dare you compare LA Knight to Michael Jackson? That's not cool.
Which I think is sort of the point. Someone else pointed out, I can't remember who it was, or I'd give them credit. I think it is my issue with LA Knight.
Michael Jackson good, LA Knight bad.
Is that I've been watching him for years, right? In Impact, in NWA, sort of in indie stuff. He's never, ever, ever changed or modified his gimmick. He is always the exact same thing.
I thought he was cool in Impact. I remember, I liked him in Impact.
But it's just
he had, Trevor Lee and Caleb with the K with him.
He's still doing the exact same thing, right?
But that felt better for some reason. It was a little different,
that was his dummy. Yeah, that whole thing, right?
Yeah, now it's LA Knight, yeah.
He wants to talk to Ted.
But I think it's like the same gimmick, like same base gimmick at least. Like
it's the same thing he always does.
He was a little different in Impact, but like same base gimmick at least.
Yeah. He says you rarely get to meet your heroes, let alone have them say you can carry out their legacy. He's hurting from the match, but it was all worth it. So he's really just sort of pandering to DiBiase, and we're all, I think, we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop here. You can sort of see if you're a wrestling fan where this is going. Why would he
drop a shoe? That's weird.
But they really drag it out. He says he watched DiBiase as a kid with his dad. He would backyard wrestle as DiBiase. He had DiBiase's figure, and he needed Ted here tonight to express his gratitude and say thank you. He wants DiBiase to officially crown him, and DiBiase says he'd be happy to. He presents the belt to Knight, and they laugh together as Pyro goes off. Knight talks some more about having everything he wants, and says it's now time to drop what he doesn't need. Of course, he attacks. DiBiase stands over him and yells that he is the only $1 million champion. He stomps DiBiase.
Technically, that's right.
At one time, right? There's not multiple belts. He stomps DiBiase repeatedly until Grimes runs out, hits a clothesline to clear Knight out of the ring.
I feel like him stomping DiBiase was just like kind of stalling.
It kind of seemed like it. Maybe Grimes was just pulling into the parking lot, man. Like maybe he wasn't there either.
That's true. That's a good point.
What did you think of this segment?
This is okay, I guess. Definitely got dragged on too long, though. And when LA Knight was acting normal and also sucking up to Ted, it was a bit off. Like, usually he's, like, his arrogant, like, he's just like, oh, I'm the greatest, blah, 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 LA Knight, whatever. And when he was, 1, acting like a normal person, and 2, sucking up to Ted DiBiase, that was kind of off.
Yeah.
And I guess that was accurate. I can see what they're doing, but it took way too long to get there. And also, like, after he hit DiBiase or whatever, when he was like kind of stomping at him, that felt like just like stalling until
like Grimes should have been out there quicker, sort of thing, or somebody
like a Papa Shango.
Yeah, this was a classic idea for a segment. It felt kind of throwback to me. I just think the whole flattering part by Knight was a little bit too lengthy. We all knew at some point what was going to happen here, I think, and it just sort of the crowd reacted strongly to Knight, so maybe this worked. I'm hoping Grimes wins the belt back for DiBiase.
Probably just because people are nostalgic for DiBiase. It's like he's like a legend.
My fantasy booking would be Grimes wins the belt back from DiBiase, and then the belt goes away because I don't want it here, frankly.
That's a good idea.
I have to say I am sort of looking forward to now that LA Knight is like officially super heel, like you attacked an older person sort of thing. That he's. Right. I'd look forward to some of his promos coming up. Hopefully,
maybe we'll get to see some better work.
I'm hoping. Because before it was like, it seemed like he was holding back on being full heel just because he was new, and I don't know. But now,
and because he was trying to like impress DiBiase, maybe.
But DiBiase's like a lifetime heel, so.
Right, but now he's a legend.
That's true. So you turn good. Mackenzie then speaks to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. She asks why Gonzalez is competing tonight. And she tells Mackenzie to tell Candice and Indy to get the titles ready because Kai wants gold. And for Gonzalez, sorry, I'm reading my short notes. One belt isn't enough. Kai says they'll take care of Carter and Catanzaro tonight, then become tag champions for the second time. What did you think?
This was good, and I do want them as tag champs because what happened to them was an atrocity.
The first time was like a 5-minute title reign, right?
Right, like
basically like an hour or less, maybe.
That's the kind of title reign that like Jillian Hall had, or like Yokozuna.
Yeah,
like
it's an asterisk.
You don't give it to them like that. It was ridiculous, and they lost a freaking shot to Blackheart.
I wasn't happy about that. I thought Gonzalez was good here. It was really, really short. Kai like got 2 lines, so I don't really need to say much about it. It was really quick promo. So I didn't mention it the first time, but I caught it the second time. So the first time we watched it recorded, so I was fast forwarding commercials, and it was the first thing after a commercial, the whole battery charging little graphic.
And so I'm wondering what this is in reference to.
So the battery thing happens for the second time here, but yeah, I wasn't sure it was an actual part of the show the first time.
It's like a phone percentage bar, and it's like kind of going up a bit each time.
Yeah, so it upticked to 11% this time.
I thought this would have been a cool way to debut EC3 as it goes from 100 and then it's like to 1 because he's the top 1%.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
But obviously not.
Or when it gets to 99, he comes out because he's the top 1%. Ooh. But I don't want EC3 there, but anyways.
But he wouldn't be doing his crappy gimmick.
I don't know why, but I really like this because in my mind, this is like when it gets to 100, somebody's debuting. And I actually thought this was cool. Kind of like... It reminds me a bit of like the Jericho
I already
debut stuff.
I already enjoy this better than Diamond Mine.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's such a stupid little thing.
It is interesting.
It's
intriguing. It's intriguing.
Yeah, and I mean they may ruin it, and I kind of want it to go really slowly too, like the Diamond Mine thing has, where it's just like upticking a little bit every week or something.
Diamond Mine was going a little too slow.
Maybe. Yeah, there's no progression on that one. So Kai and Gonzalez sort of run into Moon and Shotzi backstage. They argue briefly as Regal and referees are there to keep them separated. So again,
and Samoa Joe.
We're trying to get control of the chaos backstage here.
Is Samoa Joe going to choke one of them out?
Maybe, if they provoke him.
Provoked.
That's right. So we do then get the tag match of Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai versus Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. And Kai and Carter start out. The faces get the advantage.
The size difference between...
oh my god.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Gonzalez and Catanzaro is crazy.
And even Carter, like, when they're
She's not big either.
She's pretty much the same height as...
She's not much bigger.
Catanzaro. She's maybe, like, slightly taller. Yeah. So, like, the size difference is pretty awesome.
Quite glaring, yes. The baby faces get the advantage. Double team Dakota Kai with kicks and a drop toe hold. Drop kick combo, and Kai tags out. Gonzalez obviously overpowers Kaden Carter, but Carter counters with a standing octopus hold. Catanzaro's tagged in, and this is where the size difference is crazy as she comes in to face Gonzalez. They do the silly string into a head scissors. They do it really well,
unique
actually.
Offense. It's literally just silly string, which I've seen Private Party do a million times.
I thought they did it really well, though.
Yeah.
Twisting leap over the top by Catanzaro onto Dakota Kai. Carter off the top to both of them on the floor. We get a super fast pace throughout this part of the match with the faces in control, just flying all over the place. The heels take control over the commercial break, and when they come back, Gonzalez is stretching Catanzaro over her knee. Running corner kick by Dakota Kai for 2. Corner splash and a side slam by Gonzalez, but she misses an elbow to follow up. Running kick to Catanzaro by Kai after she tags herself in. Catanzaro makes the tag finally, and Carter is on fire with corner offense to both of the heels. Roll through kick by Carter. Nice running boot to a sitting Kai for a 2 count. Scorpion kick by Kai, and Gonzalez tags in. Carter gets caught and takes like a spinning side slam, question mark in my notes, from Gonzalez. Double team into a lung blower by Dakota Kai. Blind tag by Catanzaro and a combo flip onto Kai. Gonzalez is taken out on the outside. Catanzaro hits a 450 into a Carter neck breaker, which was awesome. But Gonzalez pulls them both out of the ring, takes them out on the floor. Kai grabs Catanzaro, hits the GTK to pick up the win here.
That looks pretty cool. I like that move.
What did you think of this match?
So I thought this was good. Babyface got a surprising amount of offense, which they did not put to waste. They look pretty good.
Yep.
Cool tag offense and counters to Kai and Gonzalez, but ultimately the right side came out on top, in my opinion.
Yep.
The GTK by Kai is always cool, and the size difference in this match is pretty awesome. I thought this was a really good TV match.
I was pretty close to being blown away by this match.
Right. It was a great TV match.
I can't believe the improvement in Catanzaro and Carter, and they are remember I said I'm hoping that they can be like the MSK of the women's division, that they're just the high-flying, super speedy tag team, and they
maybe when the time is right, they could win the belts. Maybe they'll beat the way, because obviously Kai and Gonzalez are heel as well.
Yeah, there was nothing super botchy in this, and they were doing a ton of high-risk stuff, right? They got to showcase a ton here.
It's weird, because they've looked good in the past, but this was
next level.
This was clearly an improvement.
I think they almost outshined Gonz and Kai
I think they might have, because they definitely got more offense than the heels did.
They hit all kinds of crazy stuff, didn't seem to make any mistakes. The pace that they were working for sustained periods was really impressive. I thought this was an excellent match, and I actually believed that Catanzaro and Carter could win for a second somewhere in there. Way more fun than I thought it would be. And this team really should get more time based on this performance. We knew Catanzaro is a ridiculous athlete, right? If you've ever seen the stuff she did on Ninja Warrior, it's ridiculous. So she's clearly learning to wrestle now, picking it up pretty quickly.
Right, kind of combine that.
So I was these are my favorite types of matches where I'm not expecting that much, and then I'm pretty much blown away by this. I thought it was fantastic. Everrise watched footage of Hit Row destroying their set on the pre-show from the pay-per-view.
And they're trying to rebuild it.
They talk about that they rebuilt it, but you can sort of see it beside them. And it's all put together horribly wrong.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, they sip their coffee as the segment ends. So yeah, I'm just
I like this. It's just a little entertaining
Yeah,
bit.
Exactly. It's a tiny little comedy thing in the middle here. I'm happy these guys are getting on TV. And I'm sure that they can be used as an entertaining undercard act, and they can actually wrestle. So I don't think you're ever going to see them as tag champs or anything, but they can be a useful piece of a tag division that sort of seems to be growing here a little bit. Io's then walking.
Says like enhancement talent.
Exactly, right? Io's walking backstage as she will be out next to talk about her situation. And the battery charging image comes up, and we're up to 21%. And this is where I'm like, I hope they drag this out for weeks and 21. Then debut someone really cool.
Yeah, and then we'll probably be disappointed, and then we'll be sad.
I hope not, but maybe.
No, I that's the issue. I'm hoping for
I know,
something.
I'm going to get super excited, and then it's going to be like, actually, I wouldn't even care. I was just going to say, and then it'll be like Kona Reeves returning. But I think there's something about Kona Reeves, so.
I don't, and it depends. I think he needs a new gimmick.
That's what I mean. This would be it. Anyways, they do a commercial for the Great American Bash here, and then Io Shirai makes her way to the ring. She says she's back and she feels good. She speaks Japanese briefly before saying her next target is, and then Candice LeRae's theme interrupts her.
It's like Candice knew.
Candice says she is no longer an uncrowned champion, and Io should go back to the bottom. She still can't stand Io, and Io picked the wrong time to screw with her. Indy attacks from behind. Io fights them off, 619 to Indy. Candice holds Io's foot, and Indy hits a boot, sending Io to the floor. Io gets beaten down some more and placed on a table. Candice tells Indy to hit her elbow drop from the apron, from the top, and she climbs up top. Zoe Stark runs out, takes out both heels before Io recovers, and then she and Stark sort of stand tall together in the ring. What did you think of this? As you yawn. Clearly you loved it.
A good segment, but not much to it. I'm fine if it sets up this tag match, because I think it would be good, but I don't think it needs to be a title match.
I like that they're sort of, because who was Zoe paired with last week that we weren't happy about it?
Zeta Ramirez.
So this is a bit of a step up, right? So you went...
A bit of a step up? It's Io Shirai.
I was using understatement.
Do not understate it.
I like this. I thought Io and Candice will be an awesome match when we get it. The tag match in between will probably be pretty good too, and Zoe gets to work with Io and Candice, which will help her, right? Just more experience
as does Indy.
Talented women. Yes, Indy as well. So I'm okay with this. It wasn't the usual way stuff we've been getting lately, right? So that's a nice change for me. It wasn't Indy's in love with Loomis and blah, blah, blah. This was like a wrestling angle, which was I prefer in a wrestling show, believe it or not.
I know. That's surprising.
Right? Regal and Joe are, what is that me saying? It's doing something. And Mackenzie says, I don't know what my notes are, L-A-I-N-G.
What? L-A-I-N-G?
Yeah.
Laying?
It says Regal and Joe area laying.
Area?
I don't know. But Mackenzie says that it seems like order is being restored. Regal goes to speak and the segment's cut off, remember? This was that weird thing. It looks like they're going to, and it just stops and goes elsewhere.
Like, blah, 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 Mackenzie, and it cuts off like
boom,
the
gone.
Commercial break or whatever.
Yep.
Like,
so we get Thatcher and Ciampa walking backstage. They pass MSK. This is the new thing, right? Everybody's walking by, which I kind of like because that would happen. They're all in the same building. It
creates more of an atmosphere.
Right? They pass MSK, who are eating popcorn, and say they'll be watching tonight. Thatcher grabs Carter's popcorn, eats some, and then leaves with it, which I thought was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I liked it. Not as funny as when MSK were eating popcorn. I remember when
that's their thing.
Baszler and Jax came.
That's right.
That was funny, but this was good.
Diamond Mine opening next week. We don't really learn anything about it.
We don't really care anything.
So I'm not going to say much. I'm interested to see the reveal, but they haven't progressed it at all. It's just the same little thing every week.
Hence my not caringness.
Right. Mackenzie is talking to Regal, and Gargano and Theory come in chanting Joe. Gargano says he loved seeing Joe take out Cole. Theory does a diesel pose, and Joe tells them to leave. So nothing really here other than a brief interaction. I didn't have any thoughts. Did you?
Yeah, I don't know. This is okay.
Main event time, something I was looking forward to, and just on paper to me, and you felt the same, right? This could have been on the pay-per-view.
Especially with the stipulation.
Yeah, so it's a tornado tag match, so basically means all four fighting the whole time. No tags, nobody needs to be out of the ring or anything.
No countouts, and they said no DQ, which is not usually the case, but I mean, okay.
Yeah, this match is pretty nonstop, so I'm going to do my best to sort of recap it a little bit. But it's obviously lots of things happening. Brawling to start out. Stereo clubbing chest blows, then punches by Ciampa and Thatcher. Oh boy, I've shortened Ciampa and Thatcher to CT in my notes, so that's a little mental hurdle to get over as I do this.
Oh, you
I just can't write Ciampa and Thatcher 800 times. Heels escape to the floor and take control with stomps. Thatcher's thrown over the ropes, and the grizzled young veterans briefly double-team Ciampa before a running clothesline, and then the infinite clotheslines are thankfully stopped by a toe hold drop kick combo,
which looked like really just fast and crisp,
perfectly timed, right?
Right.
Yeah. Who was it? Motor City Machine Guns used to do a bunch of stuff like that, and it was always so fast and just perfectly timed. Outside the ring with grizzled young veterans in control, running Ciampa and Thatcher into barricades. Thatcher with a chin lock to Drake, but Gibson knees him in the back. Chop block to Thatcher, and the grizzled young veterans isolate Thatcher. Drake runs Ciampa into the barricade, and the veterans hit a neckbreaker suplex combo to Thatcher. Ciampa's back with more clotheslines, and he runs both of the grizzled young veterans into the barricade and hits a running hip attack. Ciampa and Thatcher slap each other to fire them up, and then they hit running crisscross clotheslines and uppercuts to the heels, sort of in separate corners. Was kind of a cool little spot. Thatcher with uppercuts to both, a dropkick into a flatliner by the grizzled young veterans. Thatcher's double-teamed with submission and stomps until Ciampa returns. Enziguri by Thatcher. Ciampa accidentally boots Thatcher, and the grizzled young veterans hit a headlock Enziguri combo to Ciampa. Doomsday Device is sort of fought off by Ciampa here. Double underhook by Thatcher. Avalanche air raid crash by Ciampa to Drake for 2, which I thought looked really cool. Then I still can't believe they keep doing this. Doomsday Device to Ciampa on the floor.
Suicide Doomsday Device.
Crazy.
Which I'd love that.
Thatcher.
A little risky on Ciampa though.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, it's a super dangerous move no matter what, let alone on the floor. But weren't they at the spot between the announce table too?
Right. To
so
a guy
the least
who had
room.
a major neck injury too.
Yeah, great. So crazy. Thatcher
I
and
remember
Gibson.
the first time when Tyler Bate took it.
Yes.
Oh, it was awesome.
Thatcher and Gibson have a forearm exchange and then exchange some uppercuts. Drake lands a dropkick as Thatcher and Gibson are grappling. Powerbomb into a backstabber by the grizzled young veterans, and Ciampa makes the save. Grizzled young veterans slam Ciampa through a piece of the announce table. They sort of took that top piece off, leaned it up against the announce table, and slammed Ciampa through it.
There were kind of some like wood bits that kind of chipped off.
Splintered off. Then they put him on top of the table. But Ciampa sort of recovers quickly and hits a sudden air raid crash to Gibson on the table. It doesn't break, so it looks really painful. We then get, obviously, Gibson's taken out at this point. Slaps to Drake, fairy tale ending, armbar and ankle lock simultaneously to James Drake, and he has no choice but to tap out here. What did you think of this match?
I thought this was a great match, especially for TV, but I think it could have gotten slightly better, like maybe a bit of a higher gear they could have gone to, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it, because I did really enjoy it.
Yep.
Good action, some great tag moves, and I just like the whole tornado tag concept allows for just non-stop, really cohesion, really, with the tag moves and whatever, like the Suicide Dive, Doomsday Device, love that. I wish they'd done their Final Cut 450 / combo, because that's another one of my favorite moves of theirs, but still a good match. Overall, though, I really like this. Why was this not on TakeOver? That really does not make sense.
I thought this was awesome. Just a crazy main event. Got a lot of time. Really physical match. 2 really strong teams, right? Tornado tag match, as long as there's nobody that sort of needs to be hidden in a tag team or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right, when it's these are 2 teams where both of the, both competitors on each team are, they're all good.
Yep. I thought this was really physical match.
I don't know, what's the team say you were to...
let's say, you know how I'm saying, I want Morrissey to tag with someone in Impact because I don't think he's that great on his own. So that would be a case where it might not work as well.
Like Enzo and Cass, maybe?
Yeah, kind of something like that.
I think Cass is better than Enzo, but...
I thought this was a really awesome main event. I quite enjoyed it. It was just nonstop, right? There was no breaks in the action whatsoever, as you expect with a tornado tag match. Easily could have been on TakeOver, in my opinion. So I thought it was an excellent main event.
Right.
So the end, I guess, is Regal is asked how he likes having Joe there. Regal says that things are different, and Joe says night 1 of many. And that is the end of NXT this week. What were your overall thoughts?
Overall, a decent show, not great or terrible, just felt kind of average. The opening segment was fine, but also pretty confusing. First match of the night wasn't bad, but felt like it didn't get the time to really kick off and wasn't there wasn't much to say about it, I guess. Kushida versus Trey Baxter was good for the most part, but the botch didn't help. I feel like they talked a lot about Baxter's high flying in his like package, but I think that could have been like showcased a little better.
Yeah.
The LA Knight and DiBiase segment was fine, but had the opposite issue of Breezango versus Imperium, where this felt a little too stretched to get where they needed to go.
Right.
Whereas I think the other matches just kind of rushed and cut off. The women's tag match was really good and surprisingly good, I think.
Yeah, man,
since
honestly.
they won, I think Kai and Gonzalez should have gotten some more offense than they did, because like you said, the babyfaces almost kind of outshone them. Outshined.
Yep.
Whatever.
Looked really good.
It looked better.
Yep.
Io Shirai's segment was short and good. GYV and Escobar had good promos, and Everrise were pretty funny for their little bit.
Yep.
Main event was strong and definitely picked the show up for me. It was by far my favorite thing in the show. Overall, not a bad show, but there were some things I didn't really enjoy that much. And not the best, so B-, but like almost a B.
Right. I liked this show more than you did. I thought the 2 tag team matches that ended the show were really entertaining, raised the level of the show overall for me. And I honestly can't believe I'm saying that about a Catanzaro Carter match, but I'm like, we try to just be honest, right? Like if we like something, we liked it. And I thought that match was fantastic. Just sort of looking back as I went to do this, it was tag team night, right? There was only one singles match on this entire show. The rest were tag teams. I thought the opening match was fun. It was okay. Kushida Baxter match was good, minus the little bit of awkwardness in the middle. I thought the Samoa Joe storyline throughout was okay. I reserve my judgment until I see a bit more of where they're going with this. I was confused at first. Still not entirely sure what the dynamic is, but I think just sort of talking it through in this review, I've got a handle on it now. Segment-wise, thought Regal Joe's segment and the LA Knight turn were longer than they needed to be, but other than that, they were really good. Lots of backstage battling and people being separated. Felt like they're trying really hard to drive home this like chaotic atmosphere that Joe needs to clean up, which I guess will make sense if they want to have him there long term. Io's story progressed and will involve Zoe Stark. We learned that Cole and O'Reilly will get a program together. The charging battery thing is kind of interesting to me somehow. So I had a hard time rating this for some reason, but I decided to give it a B+. I thought this was especially those final 2 tag team matches were really good. Some interesting segments, some evolution of storyline. So I thought really good. My only suggestion would be a couple things could have been sort of shortened a little bit. Maybe take some time off a couple segments, add some to that opening match, and I probably would have been even happier. But I thought this was a really good show that went by quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move into take a break from analysis and talk about some trivia in Off the Top of His Head. Okay, so this week I went for Hell in a Cell trivia, buddy.
Yeah.
Which is what I laughed when you said Hayak, because that's how I've shortened it in all of these after writing it once. It's Hayak the rest of the way. Yeah, ready? So I don't know, I think there's around 15 questions. So I was going to focus on just the pay-per-view itself, but I didn't. I'm now all over the place. So it could be anything, Hell in a Cell matches, pay-per-views, whatever. Okay?
Got it.
Who is credited with coming up with the Hell in a Cell concept? I'll give you the same hint I've given before.
Pat Patterson.
Think angry old man with a podcast.
Bruce Pritchard.
No. He's
Jim Cornette.
Yes, there you go. I was going to say not angry enough. Think angrier.
Angrier.
What was it we read about? Remember he said it was like something he hated so much that was... Anyways, it was on the podcast a while ago. No, Cornette talking about something that was killing the business or whatever, and he's just like hyperbolic to the extreme. Anyways, the very first Hell in a Cell match occurred on October 5th, 1997 at the In Your House Bad Blood pay-per-view. Who competed in it and which superstar made his debut?
Shawn Michaels and Undertaker.
Correct.
And Kane debuted.
Correct. In what year did the first Hell in a Cell pay-per-view take place?
2009.
Why would you know that?
Because I'm awesome.
Why? How was the name for the pay-per-view chosen? I went super nerdy on you here.
Because of the stipulation?
No. So think about, you just mentioned like, what was it? Cyber whatever.
Yeah.
So that's my hint to you. Cyber Saturday or Cyber Tuesday or whatever.
Cyber Sunday, Taboo Tuesday.
So that's my hint. So then how did they come up with it? What do they do for cyber whatevers?
Vote.
Yeah, they had a fan poll on their website to pick the name. The other options were, ready? No Escape, Locked Up, and my personal favorite, because it's the worst one, Rage in a Cage.
No Escape's actually not bad. I actually used that for one of my universe pay-per-views.
That's fine. Rage in a Cage is too far.
That's brutal.
Alliteration's fine. Rhyming's too far for me. What?
Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I guess that's true. What regular October pay-per-view did the first Hell in a Cell replace? October. I put that in there as the hint for you because somehow you always know this one's in this month and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do you know that? Take a guess. We have a DVD of one of them, I think, out there.
Unforgiven?
No.
No Mercy.
Yes, No Mercy is correct. Don't we have one with Unmasked Kane out there, I feel like?
That's the
of my old
Unforgiven
DVD
one,
collection that you get
We
into?
have No Mercy from like 2001, but the DVD's not in there.
What's my prize wrestling DVD? Do you know?
The Rise and Fall VCW?
Correct. True or false? 2009 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view was the only one to feature the WWE ECW brand. True, because it was disbanded in 2010. What was the main event of the first Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in 2009?
Randy Orton versus Sheamus?
Nope. My hint, think factions.
Oh, DX versus Legacy.
Correct. Which mate was who? Who for DX?
Michaels and Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Correct. Versus?
Codith Rhodes and Ted DiBiase.
That's right. In a tornado
Junior.
tag team Hell in a Cell match.
Well, why would it be a normal tag team Hell in a Cell match?
It couldn't be. I don't think. In 2016, the first non-world title championship was defended in Hell in a Cell. Who were the competitors, and what was the title being defended?
U.S. title?
Yes.
Roman Reigns and Rusev.
Don't know why you know that, but you are correct.
Because that was like my first year of wrestling. I remember that. And then there was... I knew it was either that or the women's Hell in a Cell match.
As Kramer on Seinfeld says, memory burn. It's burned in there because it was your first stuff.
It is memory burned.
Also in 2016, I guess you'll know this one too, the first women's championship was defended in Hell in a Cell. Who competed in the match and who won?
Banks and Flair.
And who won, I wonder?
Flair.
Yeah.
This is when she never lost loses. On pay-per-view.
And Sasha never wins or never retains.
Right.
Oh, actually Charlotte retained there, so never mind.
Right, and this was the period where Charlotte was like undefeated on pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Who has wrestled in the most Hell in a Cell matches and how many is it?
Undertaker.
Yep, good. For bonus, how many?
10.
13.
I know he's won 8.
Yeah. At Hell in a Cell 2014, at 28 and 29 years of age respectively, which two wrestlers would become the youngest superstars in WWE history to main event a pay-per-view together?
Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins.
Correct. I thought you might know that. It's funny that that's the youngest because that doesn't even seem that young to me. But wrestling-wise, it is pretty young. True or false? Mick Foley, any version of him, has only one win in Hell in a Cell matches.
False.
False is correct. Why?
I don't know.
How many does he have?
0.
0 is correct. I thought I was going to get you with the trick because so far I know every true and false I've done has been true. And I thought, dang it, you got me. I couldn't get you.
Get got.
Which title, among those considered Grand Slam eligible, has never been defended in a Hell in a Cell match?
Intercontinental.
Correct. This infamous Hell in a Cell match from 1999 is the shortest in Hell in a Cell pay-per-view history at just under 10 minutes. 1999, controversial to say the least.
Big Boss Man Undertaker.
And it's controversial because...
Boss Man got hung after the match.
He did.
And he looks like he's actually getting hung too.
It was kind of a little bit too far, right? Because
Why do you need to do that?
And there's children watching, and if you were like an 8-year-old child watching that, and you
don't
understand, like with you it was different because I'm there to explain, like, this is fake. They have an agreement, blah blah. Because right from the get go, I'd let you know that it's not real, right?
I remember being confused. You told me it was fake, and I was like, Ric Flair and Charles, that is actual audio. You're like, yes. I'm like, what?
There was a Hell in a Cell dark match after a September 2011 episode of Raw. I don't even remember hearing of this. Who won?
John Cena.
Who competed? Who won?
John Cena.
Correct.
Del Rio.
Yes.
Punk.
Why do you know this?
Ziggler.
Yes.
Jack Swagger.
Yes.
Do you know like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you know how long it was? And you said 5 minutes. It lasted 5 minutes. I don't even think I've heard of that.
Did John Cena win?
John Cena did win.
Yeah.
That's not hard to predict. If it's that era
it was on
and
Raw.
he's in the match, just
it
guess
was
that
on
he
Raw
won.
too.
It was. All right, last one.
I remember just seeing a thing too. That's why I was able to remember the field.
Last one. 6 men have taken a fall from the top of the cage in Hell in a Cell history. Can you name them?
Mick Foley.
Correct.
Rikishi.
Correct. What in just a devastating move into a truck full of wood chips or whatever.
Right.
That was just happened to be parked out there.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead. So that's 2. So Foley,
like off
Rikishi,
the top.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's right.
Oh, Kevin Owens?
No.
Shane McMahon?
Yes. 3.
Christopher and Kevin Owens got
So there's one where it was both of them fell together.
Ambrose and Rollins?
Correct.
That was off the side.
Okay, so then they're counting side.
Wait, are we including McIntyre and Orton?
Nope.
Because they did that.
You've only got one left.
They did that as well.
Nope.
Well then
it
might
maybe
outdated.
Maybe it wasn't updated. Yeah. Last one.
Shawn Michaels?
Correct. I was trying to think of a hint, but you got it before I got there. Very good. So clearly you know a lot about Hell in a Cell for some strange reason, because that's how you roll.
Yeah, that's how I roll.
Good job. So let's switch back then to talking about some more wrestling, and we will take a look at last night's AEW Dynamite.
And we actually kick off, surprisingly, with the Jake Hager-Wardlow MMA cage fight.
Yes, interesting. I was curious to see how this was going to be.
Yeah.
It looked like the actual ring
legit,
and everything looked,
right?
Yeah, very much so.
They got like the octagon, hexagon, whatever. I don't know.
Octagon, I think.
Was there an octagon?
I think so.
I don't know.
And just the whole lead up to it, right, made it feel like a big match. I thought.
And so valid winning methods are submission, knockout, and rest stoppage, 3 5-minute rounds. I'm curious about how they'll work this, because I assume it's like a worked shoot fight.
Yes, I thought the choice to not have judges sort of telegraphed that it was going to be a definitive finish, right?
Right. And even the intros are like MMA-ified, like their previous record, their what colors they're wearing.
The ref inspecting them carefully as before they get in the cage. Right. I thought it actually made it feel like a bigger deal to me. It was
pretty good. Like the effort was there.
Wardlow looked gigantic. I thought he looked bigger than usual.
I thought it was weird because he's wearing a singlet like usual, but then he's not wearing knee pads or boots.
Right.
So both, as the match starts, both are throwing strikes, but none hit so far. Wardlow blocks a takedown and pushes Hager against the cage. A left jab by Hager, and he's kind of pausing in between these next few moves. He hits like a rib punch and also a leg kick. A leg kick, and Hager also pushes Wardlow into the cage, who tosses Hager off to prevent a double leg takedown attempt. Hager gets a double leg takedown afterwards, anyways, but doesn't
really
go
quick
for punches.
Shoot in too. I thought
right,
he really
doesn't go for
quick.
punches though. Another takedown by Hager. Wardlow blocks strikes and kicks Hager off. Wardlow catches Hager's kick and hits a pretty good right punch to the face. Wardlow drives Hager into the cage and then takes him down for some ground and pound. Flurried strike exchanges. Superman punch off the cage after a series of shots by Wardlow. Wardlow continues with strikes with Hager against the cage, and I believe this is where the first round ends.
Mm-hmm.
So, start of the second round, Wardlow goes for running knee, but he hits the cage. Wardlow uses Hager's arm to take him down and hits some shots near the cage as Hager attempts to cover up. Wardlow attempts an armbar. He does get it for a brief second, but that actually kind of allows Hager to escape, and he hits some elbows to the hip area.
Yeah, the counter out of that armbar was really good by Hager, too. Really quick.
Hager attempts an armbar of his own, and he has to shift into a triangle. Wardlow tries to power up, but can't, so he has to punch his way out. Hager manages to get an ankle lock, but is kicked off by Wardlow. Wardlow powerbombs Hager into the cage and hits a Hurricane Rana.
Yeah, Wardlow.
Right. Like, what? And he hits a spear. Hager gets Wardlow into a headlock triangle, which is like, I remember Braun Strowman used to do that, but he would like lift him up.
And that's what Hager's been winning fights with for real in his MMA. So that was sort of the tie-in.
Wardlow gets out and has Hager in a fireman's carry, but Hager hits elbows to get out. He hits an Iranagi and locks in that headlock triangle again for a knockout win. So Hager gets the win at the second round. And so Hager goes for a bit of a show of respect, but Spears attacks. Jericho tries to help, but gets double teamed, and MJF obviously kicks Jericho when he's down and comes into attack. Gets him in like the Fujiwara armbar, salt to the earth submission. He is pulled off by Dean Malenko, who then gets hit, and Guevara runs out, and refs hold him back though, so MJF makes a kind of a sneaky escape.
Right. I don't know. This is interesting, right? I like that their decision to end it in the second round. I think if it had gone another 5 minutes or whatever, I would have had more issues with it. And I didn't think coming into it that Hager was going to lose here because this is his kind of specialty match and he's been winning in real life, so I assumed he would win here. There parts of it looked fake to me because Hager wasn't following up anything in the first round, right? Like he'd hit something, and if it's real MMA, you pounce on that guy and you start wailing on him. You don't like let him get back up and come at you, sort of thing. But honestly, I thought these guys probably did a really good job of putting on a fake MMA match. For me, I just don't really want to watch a fake MMA match. Although I kind of enjoyed the fight pit, so maybe I'm a bit hypocritical, but it's not exactly the same thing.
Right.
I was mostly bored, if I'm being honest, by the first round, the majority of it. But again, like I appreciate that AEW is trying something new here, and I may, when I go to listen to stuff after we're done, there might be a lot of people that really enjoyed this. It's just one of these things that's not really for me. It's not something that interests me on paper or in delivery, as it turns out. I was glad they kept it kind of short. And again, the lack of judges made it clear that this was going to be a decisive winner. And the aftermath, honestly, it just feels like more of the same, right? I was ready for the next segment before this aftermath was done, which isn't a great sign. So this wasn't great for me, but I don't think it was objectively bad. And again, they're trying new things. So I think you felt you're kind of in this weird spot about this, right? So go ahead. What did you think?
Odd spot. Because, so this was, I guess, it was actually pretty good, but I didn't really like it. Not that I didn't. I swear,
I feel the same, right?
It's I kind of enjoyed it, but I didn't. This wasn't really for me.
And I don't really have many fake MMA matches to compare it to, right? So,
right. So I kind of liked it, but I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's for us. I think they're hoping to maybe hook some MMA fans.
It was
right?
as good as I would have expected. I think they did a good job, but I'm not exactly an MMA person. This is fake MMA. I think they did a good job of kind of making it realistic.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where I didn't really love it, although it was good in parts. But not because it was bad. It's more just that's more me than the thing.
It's we don't love the concept, but they did a good job of delivering it. Yeah,
it doesn't invalidate it. Or
no, I think that's just our opinion, right? We're not MMA guys, so I don't.
Decent way to start the show, and probably good depending on who you are.
Right. I don't watch MMA in general, so watching fake MMA doesn't interest me really either. But again, that's just us personally.
I feel if this is WWE though, their boxing matches that they've done, right? So I think maybe that's a fair comparison. So I guess if you're comparing it to that, this was good.
Of course.
So yeah.
Yep.
I guess good.
It is really hard to say.
I really don't know how to feel.
Yeah.
Penta, Kaz, and Kingston have a promo. Kaz says stuff about revenge and God and whatever.
Yeah, Bible quotes and things,
I don't really care about.
Kind of lost us a bit, but
Kaz says they don't have to worry about that because they're not righteous, and neither is he, because he's done being decent and he's out for revenge. Which
I thought he felt a little over-scripted and a little too cute this week. I've liked his promos the last few weeks.
I like the whole Elite Hunter tag.
I like it, but I didn't love Kaz here. It was just a little. It felt too scripty to me. I don't know.
Kingston says the Elite's asses are theirs, which I like that little line, and Penta says it's Sarah Miedo, and that's done. This was good.
Yeah, any promo where Kingston doesn't get the bulk of it, I'm you missed an opportunity there, right? It should be Kingston talking the most all the time, no matter what he's doing, because he's amazing.
Face or heel, he should talk.
Yeah, I just thought Kaz felt a little less natural than some of his previous ones, and nobody really else said very much, right? So it was fine. I don't know.
Next we got Team Taz segment. Taz addresses the issues, and Taz says Stark's issue with Cage needs to end, and Hobbs basically complains, saying Starks and Cage left him hanging and they're supposed to be a team. Taz agrees with Hobbs and says Hangman and 10 got lucky, but he wants to see how Hangman will do. So basically challenges Hangman to face Hobbs one-on-one next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll get a further development into that, I assume, later in the show.
Yep.
Next we get one of the things I was kind of looking forward to, which is Darby Allin versus the Men of the Year.
And that previous promo, I just wanted to say quickly, I thought Taz did a really good job in the promo.
Yeah.
But the group itself is somewhat decimated, right? Cage is basically gone-ish.
Right, and Starks he's probably their best talent. Starks is
hurt
for
a long time. Right. Hobbs is mid-card at best.
And Hook is
doesn't
yet
wrestle.
to debut.
So Taz is the best thing about this group at the moment, and I thought he did a good job here. But it's going to get harder and harder for him to look like this is a big, intimidating group, right? I feel like they could add Layla Hirsch. Let's go.
They literally lost their most big and intimidating guy.
Layla Hirsch heel turn, add her to the group. Perfect.
She's not big or intimidating, though.
Yeah, she's Taz, though. She's like
I'm not saying she wouldn't fit.
A modern version of Taz that would benefit a ton. Then they could even talk about that, and he could mentor her. Anyways.
So we get the handicap match: Darby Allin versus the Men of the Year. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. And what I like about the Men of the Year tag seems to be kind of like a team nickname rather than their full name, because they still like are introduced as like Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, which I kind of like. So, like, it's a decent tag and all, like, kind of like matches their gimmick, but I don't really want that as like their full-on tag name.
Right. I was a bit nervous coming into this because I've liked the Men of the Year tag team so far. I was a bit nervous that maybe they were going to look weak in a handicap match, right? So we'll see how this went.
So Page starts against, obviously, Darby. Darby slaps Page to provoke him, but he gets some arm drags, springboard arm drag by Darby, and Scorpio Sky tags in. Drop toe hold and a quick roll up for 2 by Darby. Page hits a cheap shot, and Page comes in and he catches a springboard coffin drop by Darby, and then so Scorpio Sky's able to get a cheap shot. Darby causes a collision between Men of the Year and hits a double springboard like his coffin drop thingy. Page tags in and hits a shoulder tackle. Darby escapes the gorilla press and applies a sleeper hold, but is rammed in the corner for Page to get out, and he hits a back elbow, which I thought was pretty well placed.
Yeah, it was.
Big Beal by Page and some corner stomps. Big pendulum backbreaker by Page post-commercial break. Sky tags in, also hits a pendulum backbreaker.
Yeah, they just alternated.
They just keep alternating for a bit, hitting pendulum backbreakers, and to their credit, they did it really well.
Well, and if you're targeting a body part, I have no problem with that, right?
Small package by Darby for near fall, and Page is legal. Knee to the gut by Page. Page kind of grabs Darby's arm and mocks the tag because he has no partner, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Scorpion death drop by Darby. Why? Like,
homage to his mentor.
I would love to know how Sting is actually mentoring him.
Well, hey, he's not here. We don't even have to talk about him, okay? He's not even here.
No, the old goth guy. How is he? Whatever. Sky tags in. Darby tags himself in his corner.
Hot tag to himself, I thought was awesome.
And so I wrote in quotation marks, hot tag flurry by Darby.
Mm-hmm.
Code red by Darby, but Page breaks the pin. Kind of like lifting him from the ground, a full Nelson slam by Page.
Yep.
As the ref is dealing with Sky, Darby zip ties Page's feet together.
Okay, so just to contrast, what was it that Heyman tried to do to... Remember when he took
the
forever?
Handcuffs?
Yeah. Darby did this so quickly, and like it also made sense because Page was actually like looking over at the ref and Sky or something for a second. I thought this was like executed almost perfectly, like in contrast to Heyman's, who killed that match for me, right? This was like kind of made sense. He did it so quickly and effectively. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was cool. And so Page gets in the ring, 2 roll-ups, both get Darby 2 counts, pop-over stunner, and a coffin drop, but he literally gets yanked off
really
by
good.
Page, who was struggling to get up at first, which, obviously on purpose, but that was pretty funny.
Yep.
Page grabs cutters from under the ring to cut off the zip tie. Page sends Darby into the ring post. He took it like a champ.
Looked amazing.
Looked
and
awesome.
Sound even, right? Like the ding, and then down to the floor. Looked great.
Page sends Darby into the ring and then tags in. Page goes for a superplex, but Darby gets out and bites his hand. Headbutt by Darby sends Page off. Sky crotches Darby, and then Page takes advantage, hits the Ego's Edge for the win, and Men of the Year pick up the win.
Yeah, one thing about Page, I think he's kind of special because whether it's promo-wise or in-ring-wise, he can do comedy or get serious and intense, right, in both. And you saw a little bit of the comedy here with the reaching Darby's arm out to make the tag and mocking him kind of thing.
And the whole zip tie bit.
So I was a bit nervous coming into this match. I just was afraid that the Men of the Year weren't going to look strong here, but I actually, coming out of it, think this was really good. I actually love the way it was booked. The Men of the Year dominated much of this match, right, as they should, because they have 2 versus 1. And then Darby got in some really nice flurries, shorthanded.
And I think an appropriate amount of offense.
I agree, as he should. And then he cleverly incapacitated Page for a little bit, which also made sense.
Which is something he might have to do.
And they executed it really well. Plus, zip ties would be easily discreet in his pockets of his cutoff jean shorts or whatever he was wearing, right? So, and I like that Darby couldn't quite take full advantage of the time that Page was tied up. So once Page got free, Allin got dominated again and ended up losing, as like this all just made sense and everybody looked good here. Darby Allin got to look resilient and courageous.
Yep.
The Men of the Year didn't have to look
And it's an
weak.
understandable defeat.
Right. They didn't to have to look weak by losing to one man. I thought this
and Darby didn't have to look weak either.
Right. I thought this was really well done, and everybody was allowed to look good here. This is how a handicap match should be booked, I think.
Mm-hmm. I like this. It was really good. Darby's underdog aesthetic really worked here. Paige and Sky were great as well. Like you said, I think everyone got their opportunities to look good, and it worked logically. Like, everything made sense.
I agree.
I like Paige mocking Darby tagging because he has no partner. And the bit where they kept doing the backbreaker over and over was cool because, like, they were hitting it good as well.
And it's better than a clothesline 1,000 times.
Yep.
It's something a little more complicated.
Darby's zip tie move on Paige was creative and, like, smart.
Yeah.
He took that ring post hit like a champ as well. Overall, this was, like, really good. Like, probably maybe the best handicap match I've seen.
I quite enjoyed it. And
much better than the Double or Nothing match. And what's the difference between this and the Double or Nothing match? I don't know, a 60-year-old old man.
I didn't mind. The Double or Nothing match wasn't
this
bad.
Was awesome.
I thought this was really good as well. I just think they planned it really well and executed it perfectly, right? Mm-hmm. So really strong.
Yep. Orange Cassidy versus Cesar Bononi.
It's a contrast, that beautiful match beforehand. We go to this one.
Yeah, it is.
With the wingmen, who
are... get a video promo, which is Peter Avalon, Ryan Nemeth, JD Drake, and Cesar Bononi. So an all-star lineup.
Oh my goodness. There. Star power.
Yeah,
too much star power.
Cassidy didn't reply to their previous promo, which, and so they're really good because Bononi did not get an entrance. Just really get into it.
Yep, already in the ring.
Bononi lifts Cassidy by his jacket and hits corner body blows, pulls Cassidy's jacket off, puts Cassidy's hands in his pockets and hits a Beal. And when Cassidy rolls to the outside, he's given a quote-unquote makeover by the wingmen, which, okay.
So they are brushing his hair and giving him a new look.
Like oil or whatever.
Right, spray tan. Neither the ref
right.
nor Cassidy's friends who are at ringside do anything about it.
It's technically not harming his ability to compete, they said.
That was a little bit ridiculous.
A big boo by Bononi and more makeovering by the wingmen.
Yep, twice.
And Nemeth even gives Cassidy his jacket, so now he's wearing that.
Ike Manjiro's gimmick, stealing it.
Cassidy fights back. Bononi catches a dive attempt by Cassidy. Best friends help out and propel Cassidy with a dive assist on the wingmen. Bononi catches the diving DDT, but Cassidy counters into a Stung Dog Millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dumb name. Tilt-a-whirl DDT by Cassidy.
You are incapable of saying that move without commenting on.
It's just so bad.
It's just a reference to a movie.
But it's terrible.
Anyways.
And I don't know, why you have to call it...
we talk about it way too much. Keep going.
Orange punch to Nemeth. Orange punch to JD Drake after he got nose booped by
Oh,
Statlander.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Orange punch to Bononi for the win. And Orange Cassidy wins. I'm just going to say this is fine. Standard enhancement match. Wingmen are a meh gimmick. This belonged on Dark for sure.
Yes.
And the makeover thing was kind of ridiculous. This is...
The crowd was really into the final push for this match with Orange Cassidy because the crowd loves him, but this was far too much comedy for me.
It is kind of interesting how we went from a main event pay-per-view. Well, not
part
technically
of it.
Main event,
I know what you
mean. To facing Cesar Bononi.
So the makeover stuff at ringside with nobody stopping it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's no reason whatsoever for the wingmen to be on anything other than Dark right now. I kind of like JD Drake, but even
how does he fit into this gimmick? Isn't he like the tough
blue
man
collar or whatever? Yeah.
How does that fit into this
Hollywood
fancy?
Yeah.
Right. You got Rhino with the Hollywood hunk and pretty Peter Avalon.
It's leftover
and
parts.
Bononi's at least their muscle or whatever, but how does JD Drake really fit into this faction?
With all the time they have for Dark and Elevation, this is not, and all the people on this roster that I do want to see, this is not a group I need to see on television. No offense to them.
Where's my TH2? I'd rather see TH2.
I would rather see almost anything. But
TH2.
Anyway, so not a big fan of this, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Major step down from the match before
it,
right? The momentum sort of got killed here a little bit.
You picked up the momentum, put it in a bag, and chucked that bag off a cliff.
Into a river.
Yes. So we get a Jungle Boy interview, which is immediately interrupted by Omega, Callis, and Knack on a golf cart.
Yep.
Omega says Jungle Boy is probably wondering why Omega doesn't have his fancy toughened belt. He says he got embarrassed last week and he wants JB to prove how tough he is in a real street fight. He taunts Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy says he would rather beat him for the title next week. And Omega then offers him with the first free shot, but Jungle Boy gets hit with the computer as he's taking off his stuff.
Yeah, Nakazawa attacks him with the laptop from behind.
Yeah, Nakamura debuting in AEW. Omega attacks, but Nak takes Jungle Boy away when he when he kind of turns the tables on Omega. Oh, how the turntables have turned.
So, yes, Michael Scott.
Omega escapes on a golf cart and kind of throws Knack to the wolves.
He sacrifices
Knack again.
Yep.
Which I thought was kind of funny.
Me too.
And so I thought this was fine. Another good way to have Kenny really come across as a slimy douchebag.
Yeah.
And a simple way to build their match next week. I like this. I do think kind of sacrificing Knack is pretty funny.
I do too. And I like that. Like, if this was the plan, like, they could have just pulled up and attacked him. But Omega's such a, like, I'm going to make a speech and cut a promo first, even though, like...
And, like, trick him and, like, do this whole ensemble.
Could have just jumped out and attacked him, but I'm going to make a speech and then do all of this.
Could have, like, ran him over with the golf cart if he really wanted to.
So I thought Omega was good here, and I really think that they're giving Jungle Boy just enough to say so far.
Right, and I wrote in, like, my show opinion, I think, but, like, and I think you also mentioned that, like, if he can't talk, then
this is beautiful.
They're booking it smartly.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Like, that's... I think promos are not Jungle Boy's strength.
Right, hide the weaknesses and Omega, play up the strengths.
I think Omega's good at promos. Some people don't. Some people really think he's brutal, I like him.
I think he's good, and maybe sometimes there's a miss.
Yeah.
But I think, like, as a whole, he is good.
Yep. I just like the whole, I'm going to make a speech before I attack you, and I'm going to sacrifice...
Even though it's completely unnecessary.
Going to sacrifice my lackey in the process and escape. Right. So I thought it was funny.
Yep. So we got an HFO interview...
Yep.
Hardy says there are repercussions when contracts are breached, and that's why he has attacked Christian, because I guess the whole he retired and I guess. But he should know wrestling retirements mean
nothing.
Squat.
Right.
Christian tries to attack, but is held back and locked in a cage. So Christian has been outworked, and now Christian Cage has been caged. And Cage has been caged.
Yes.
Well, you could argue that one, Christian got outworked, and now he also got caged. Cage has been caged.
So...
and so Hardy gives him a check for his retirement fund and says he'll end Cage's career if he doesn't retire. And I'm like, do you promise, Matt?
So I was making coffee for this, but our kitchen is open to the family room, so I can still see the TV. And I thought Matt sounded good here. I just don't have any desire.
I don't care. This was fine, but
to
like
see this match.
Kind of boring. And just like, what was the point? Like, and are we meant to believe that Cage just stuck there?
Yeah. I have an idea for AEW, right? And this is going
to
solve all their problems. And I'm sure they're listening. So here you go, AEW executives.
Don't do this.
Before you hire talent from WWE, ask yourself this. Can we possibly get the best version of this person in AEW?
Right.
That is...
What could they contribute?
No, well, not even that, but
like Andrade, for example.
Could they peak in your company? Big Show, no. Sting, no. Christian, no. Matt Hardy, no. Miro, yes. Aleister Black, yes. Andrade, yes.
Murphy?
Seems simple enough, right? Murphy? Ask yourself, can I get...
Even like Mox.
Can this person peak here? And if
even
the answer is no, do not sign
I don't know,
them.
would you argue Jericho? Like, I think he's kind of peaking in a way.
He might be the exception, right? Because
he's not necessarily peaking, but he's like he did good.
He's not at his peak in ring wise, but in terms of the total package, he's probably as good as he's ever been. So I mean,
yeah, like.
But I think that has to be their rule of thumb, right? If you're not gonna get the best ever version of this person, if their best days are behind them, don't sign them.
Right. Like Mark Henry. Mark Henry.
No.
Right.
Right. Like, so I don't know, but that's just my idea.
That's a good strategy. And
just ask yourself.
Even like Mox, I think he's peaked, right?
It's just another way of saying like take underused talent and make them and use them correctly.
Even like I know he hasn't done great, but I think Spears, you could argue he was underused. Like
I'm enjoying him lately.
Right. So like I think he might be peaking, although Ty Dillinger at his peak.
Well, he was super over at least, right?
Yeah,
in NXT.
NXT Ty Dillinger, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I should push him. I might push him in my universe mode then.
So that's my suggestion. Yeah, carry on. What was next?
Okay, I'm gonna push Ty Dillinger.
My notes say dark match plus Cody.
Okay. Yeah, it's Cody Rhodes and Brock Anderson versus The Factory, which is QT and Aaron Solo. Remind me if I forget. I'll push Ty Dillinger in my universe mode.
The star power of this.
The absolute star power. Oh my god. So we were talking about last week, right? Brock Anderson looked like freaking Nick Nemeth or whatever, and like Kerwin White's caddy, and he's wearing blue. He could not look more boring and generic in this match. Oh my god!
I think even going back to his outfit last week, it's like homage to his dad, because that's like the stuff his dad would wear back in
his dad was a wrestler in like the 80s
I
and
know.
90s. There's a very big difference there, Brock.
I don't know if that was like an inside joke. This is funny.
No, I think his ring gear was at least, because he had the BA instead of the A, but like...
That was for sure.
It's 2021, bud. You gotta do better than that.
Not to be super critical, but it looked like his trunks didn't even really fit him that well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, go ahead. I have problems with this, but I'll wait.
It's 2021, bud. You gotta do better than that. Like, it's not 1992 or something. Like, Jesus Christ.
And Anderson, in general, like, incredibly generic look. He has no real size. He's not really...
He looks like they probably put the same effort into his look as they would a jobber.
He's not in shape. He doesn't really have charisma. He's very limited in the ring. But anyways, go ahead. Talk about this amazing business.
We're burning this
guy. We'll bury him
before
we even start.
We'll bury him after the match.
Yeah, I might get a bit angry here, but go ahead.
Okay. Nah, I'm okay with that. Anderson and Solo start the match. Holds and counters. Wrist takedown and arm stomp by Anderson. QT tags in. Right hand by Anderson, who tags in Cody. QT retreats, tags Solo back in. Drop down uppercut by Cody, who then runs and hits a suicide dive on QT. Solo takes control and QT tags in. Corner punches and Solo tags in. Cody flips out of a back suplex, tags in Brock. Corner shoulder block, on QT by Anderson. Like, oh, he's doing it quick or whatever. No, I'm just like, no, lots of mat stomping.
Yes.
Like, you're just like, no.
I mean, they were sudden, like, movements forward, but how hard is a corner shoulder steer?
Right, like, you really, he's stomping the mat like his life depends on it.
Yep.
Big back body drop by Anderson. Gut wrench suplex to Solo by Anderson, which looked fine.
Okay.
Spine buster by QT for 2, which I kind of like. So, like, he's doing it on Arn's kid.
Yeah.
Which that was kind of funny. Yep. QT misses a running corner attack. Solo tries to prevent the hot tag, but gets taken out. Solo does. I did like this, though, after he kind of gets pushed off by Cody. He distracts the ref immediately so that the tag isn't seen, which I thought was, that was kind of cool. Double team by the Factory. QT goes for crossroads, but Anderson counters into a DDT, and Cody gets the hot tag. Flurry by Cody, and of course, poor Aaron Solo is the victim. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you were to hit this flurry on QT, it wouldn't harm him. But QT gets hit with the flurry as well, so...
Yep.
But why don't you just do the whole
Cody
thing
versus everyone.
Yep. Figure 4 on Solo, who gets a rope break. Destroyer on QT by Cody, which is probably the only move that I liked in this match. Roll up by Solo for 2. Kick by Solo, but Brock breaks the pin. Brock Anderson tags in. He assists Cody to take out QT, and a jackknife pin by Anderson for the win, which is how you know he sucks if he just wins
that's how he wins
in
it.
His debut.
Yep.
Here, I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can be mad at the end.
Yeah, I might be.
This was not great. Cody's tag matches are so basic and formulaic now. Like, you contrast this to, the match with Lee Johnson and Ogogo.
Yeah.
In QT, I guarantee you, they're, hardly different. It's always Cody getting the hot tag after someone's in peril. Sure, he's fast, but I've seen a million better hot tags. Nick Jackson literally did the same hot tag a million times, and I like that every time better than any Cody's hot tags. It's just it's so basic, and why is it that this is Brock Anderson's debut, but it seemed like a showcase for Cody? He did meh, I guess, and if he didn't have a ton of training, it almost doesn't make sense if he's Arn's kid, because he should be trained for a while, and if they knew he didn't have the training, they didn't need to debut him. This debut was completely unnecessary. He did not need to be here. Even if it was ready, I don't need to see him.
He didn't look ready to me.
Right, and so then he didn't, why would they do this? Because it's Cody. It's Cody, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
This is not great. I didn't really like it. Wasn't very entertaining. Struggled to hold my interest. This was kind of just excuse number 1,000 for Cody to get on the show with another one of his inner circle members or whatever. Someone
It's like he's trying really hard to have his legacy be that he worked with the young performers.
Just another addition to his
Doesn't mean
stupid
it's fun to
legacy.
Watch.
And so the whole Brock Anderson thing is either just an excuse or Cody getting another one of his friends or whatever, a spot on the show, or both. Did not enjoy this. Where was the point? What was the point?
Right.
Honestly.
So
I got mad.
Yeah, you kind of got mad for me. Here's my comparison, right?
Go ahead.
I'm going to pick a nice Canadian business, like Canadian Tire. I get a job at Canadian Tire.
Right.
I'm saving money for school or whatever I want to do, a car or a house or my family. I'm getting my regular shift. I'm working my hours. I do a good job, and I've got my my boss comes up to me and he says, "Listen, man, you do a nice job and everything, but
we're gonna have to let you go.
My best friend's kid also wants to work this job, so we're gonna cut back on a bunch of your shifts so that he can have some of your shifts." And yeah, you're right. He doesn't understand the job.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He's not gonna do a very good job, nowhere near as good a job as you can do. But you get it, just like gets fewer hours.
Nepotism for nepotism's sake.
I found this hard to pay attention to, but I did it for you listeners because I don't want to ever not actually watch things and then review it. I just can't.
No
Inside me, I can't do that.
How brain numbing it is.
So Anderson looked really green. He's not ready for this.
No.
QT and Aaron Solo do nothing for me. I
want to see more of Solo because I feel like he might be decent, but they've never let me see it.
And that's what I'm saying. I gave the Factory a chance at first, but this has not been interesting. From the stuff with Ogogo to this, it's all been a miss.
Yeah, the more I think about it, it's like, what? So the whole Ogogo storyline, that was crap. That was terrible.
I didn't like it.
The bull rope match,
I actually think
kind of screwed Komoroto.
I think there's some potential in Ogogo, but the way they decided to present that whole thing was awful.
I don't even know. The bull rope match kind of screwed Komoroto, and these tag matches as of late have been boring as hell.
So Cody needs to spend less time trying to get his friends over. There's so many people on this roster more deserving of TV time than these guys.
Oh, God.
And I'm not trying to be rude and mean, but this isn't something that should be on your flagship show right in the middle of it. This is not Cody. Sure, he's a talented guy in ring. No matter what I say about him,
he has to put it on Dynamite. He can't not put this on Dynamite.
And I feel, and it's just me putting this on Cody, but he's got this ego that I can make them look good. Don't worry. Right,
or I know them.
I'll get them over.
I got this. And it's it doesn't have to be on Dynamite.
And I just think about
I'd almost rather than putting on Elevation, just promote the crap out of it, because then I don't have to see the crap.
And I feel like this.
But
they say morale and everything is amazing at AEW, and I believe it is, and that's great. But how many times can these guys that are being underused,
how many times can they take it?
Somebody like Hobbs, who's sitting there watching Brock Anderson.
I say again, where's TH2?
Right. So I don't.
Or Kip Sabian, but
to me, this is not too many non-star people, or even people that I don't want to see on Dynamite.
Too many people related to Cody.
Right. Okay, let's go. I didn't get as mad as I thought. You took some of it for me, which is great.
You're welcome.
I can stay relaxed.
Yeah.
What was next?
Yeah. So Lance Archer promo. Roberts talks about how you have to wait sometimes, but Archer's no patience. Who yells and storms off. Pretty short.
It was. I laughed when Jake looked actually afraid. He sort of did a little jump scare there when Archer got really mad or whatever. And I think this is further evidence that Jake should only speak in recorded segments, because I thought this was fine, but the last few times he's been really bad. So I think this is Jake only speaks when it's something that they can go, nope, take two, we got to do that again, right? Nothing live for him. So I thought this was fine. I don't know, it was quick.
Yeah, I liked it. It was pretty short. Next we got Andrade El Idolo interview with the guy who can't say
his name for his life, but that's okay.
Andrade says he chose AEW because they have many stars and he is a superstar.
Yeah. I wonder if that was a shot at, or was that a reference to WWE? Because they you can't call them a wrestler.
Right,
there.
You have to call them
They're all superstars.
JR talks about the 2 AEW titles. Andrade says he deserves an opportunity for either title. They're referring to the World and TNT titles. He says it's his next step. Andrade says Vicky Guerrero is smart and understands the business after JR was kind of asking about the whole Vicky Guerrero thing. He says her family is full of wrestlers much like his, and he says he and Vicky have a surprise, and I wrote Zelina Vega ?
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
That would be perfect.
I would be super hyped, but I don't think so.
So I thought this was good. Andrade spoke English pretty well. They kept it short enough so that he didn't look bad.
He really took his time speaking English too. Mm-hmm. I think he looks like a star, right? This was really a basic interview, and that's, I think, all Andrade's...
I think that's kind of what they needed to do here.
I agree.
Maybe he can evolve more, but I think this is a good start.
I thought so too. He did a good job, took his time speaking the best English he could, and then he drifted into Spanish a bit, which I don't mind either. And I really like...
if he's comfortable with it, right?
I like the simple tease of the surprise at the end. I don't know what it is, and it may let me down, but... that little cliffhanger, right? I'm interested now. And the way he kind of said it... That's at least something
kind of like the charging thing in NXT, right?
So I thought it was nothing special, but I liked it. And I think it's a nice way to ease Andrade into this.
Right. And so next we got a Hangman Page segment.
Yep.
With the Dark Order, of course. Hangman accepts the Hobbs challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is asked about the world title match next week.
Nope.
And
Change it.
how
Change
it
the
affects
subject.
him as the number 2 contender. And his response is, he says, Silver's nearly healed.
Yeah.
5 has a new jacket. 10 won the main event. And then Uno's kind of like down on himself because he lost. But then Hangman kind of like comforts him and says, he is a champion to them no matter what, which is kind of like that's the kind of vibe of the Dark Order.
Yeah, I love
now.
it. I don't know. I just love it.
And okay, I'm just gonna say, opposite to the tag match, I loved this so much. So first off, the Dark Order and Hangman are just great in general. Their general just feel good vibe is like, it's cool, right?
It's unique in wrestling. There isn't much of this on, maybe in some indies somewhere, I don't know.
It's really nice to see. And also, I've noticed now how Hangman basically uses the Dark Order to dodge questions regarding Omega like he did here, and I love that.
Yep.
Because so he was asked about next week's main event, how it affects him as the number 2 ranked competitor. He dodged it by talking with Silver and 10 and Uno, and this is so awesome because it's so clever. It's like the most subtle way to slowly build to this inevitable showdown we all know is going to happen. And this is one of the things I love about AEW, just like this subtle building.
Yep.
And like then you can point to like this has been building for months and months, even just as something as small as this. It's so awesome.
And just Paige's character of being this like, he's self-confident enough and self-aware enough that he doesn't need to talk about himself and put himself over. He'd rather try and put over some of his friends who've been feeling down lately.
Maybe he's still feeling weird about the Omega thing, so like he doesn't want to talk about it. It's like, it's slowly like maybe then Omega, maybe when they actually full on go to Omega, gonna be like, how come you've been dodging me, man? Are you scared of me or something Like they can point to this.
They can come back to it later.
This is just so smart. And
I liked
this
it too.
combined with the Dark Order in general, I really like.
And the subtle shot at 5 again, right? Like he's talking about the accomplishments of the other people, and he's like, and 5 got a new jacket, and it's fine, or whatever he said.
Which is funny. I do feel kind of bad for 5, but it's a funny little like running gag.
Yeah. And they're still including him. They're just like, it's like you make fun of your family members. You can make fun of your family, but if someone else does...
I really hope it doesn't turn into 5 leaving, because I think it's just like a funny thing.
No, I don't think so. I think this group's staying intact, because... Paige is really good here. This faction, man, I don't know how else to say it. It just makes me happy every week.
This was
for
a
few minutes.
Thing, like, and I really enjoyed it just because I think it's just the beginning of something much bigger.
And the dynamic between Paige and this group is awesome. He's like affiliated, but he's not part of them. They support each other. They're just good, positive little group.
It's such an...
I love it
like
every week.
Said, it's such an oddity in pro wrestling.
It is, and I just enjoy it.
Which I think makes it that much better.
Makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Penelope Ford versus Julia Hart is next.
More star power. Goodness gracious, this episode in ring is tough.
So holds and counters, drop kick by Hart, crossbody by Hart, spin around forearm by Ford with like Hart lying on the apron. She's kind of like lying. She like spins her.
Right.
You know.
Need a video pod. He's dancing here, basically.
Kai did that. Remember?
Right. Spun her around and into the ring post.
Slingshot double knees by Ford. Strike exchange post-commercial break. Clothesline by Hart. Sunset flip for 1 by Hart. Clothesline by Ford. Light kicks by Hart. Like, they look really light. Like,
she's got a ways to go.
Fireman's carry gut buster by Ford. Ford misses a moonsault. Hart misses a split leg drop by a mile. And Ford locks in the last chancery for a submission.
Yeah, last chancery.
Yeah, and so Miro comes out. He asks where Kip is, and I was like, he's unfortunately injured. It sucks, but that's how it is.
He is.
Miro says the number advantage is unfair, and he is here to fight for her honor. And Miro attacks the Varsity Blondes. There's some ref separation. And so I thought this wasn't great. This was an enhancement/squash match that belonged on Dark, and Hart didn't look great. I'll cut her a bit of slack because she is 19, but
yeah, when you told me that, I became much more forgiving.
But I still think she should just gain experience on Dark 100%. More. I liked Miro coming out, basically used Penelope, despite like he literally beat up her husband, and kayfabe was the injury cause, and he used her as an excuse to attack the Varsity Blondes.
I want a reason to beat these kids up.
I think that was really funny.
So Hart's really embracing the cheerleader gimmick. They did say that she's a former cheerleading national champion, so that's super impressive. She's obviously a really strong athlete, but she is not a wrestler at this point.
She's part of the Varsity
and again,
Blondes.
I can be forgiving because she is super young, but this isn't the place to be learning, in my opinion. That's just me.
And I think that's like one of maybe the detractors for AEW is like WWE, to their credit, like maybe their style detracts from some things, but like they've at least like a lot of people there will have fundamentals like the Performance Center. It's like a machine. Like I think AEW needs something, even like New Japan's like their dojos or whatever.
Yep.
Like something like that. Like doesn't Ring of Honor have something like that as well? They do have a dojo. Like just something like that. Even if it's not as quite a well-oiled machine, but like they've got all these trainers in AEW. Like they just put in Mark Henry. They got Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson, Tully, Jake the Snake Roberts. Like I feel like they should actually put those guys to use. Like
Hart needs to like
maybe not them, but like, you know what I mean? Like actually like some sort of like factory. Like
maybe they do. I don't know. Well, they do have that where they're training people.
Yeah. So not the Nightmare Factory. That's just Cody.
So Hart, I think, needs to like be on Dark, be hitting a ton of indie stuff, just getting experience.
I would love it if AEW does get some sort of training at some point, because then I think like aside from the people like Omega and Page who are already like they're good, like they can really build new people and like have some homegrown talent.
Yeah, they could. So I didn't think this was good. She doesn't belong on Dynamite. Ford isn't bad, but she can't carry a rookie to a quality match. This was a
last minute addition, like it was added like maybe the day before or the same day. So
it
felt as such.
It's asking too much of Penelope Ford at this point to say you need to carry this 19-year-old to a good match on TV. Ford's it's just not happening.
Like Ford's good, but like she's not carrying someone else good.
She's like she's
whereas like Gargano, like for example, is the one off the bat, or maybe women's division, Candice LeRae. She could probably carry someone.
If you put Hart in with Shida, she's probably looking better. You know what I mean? But it's nice that Ford got a win for once, I guess, because she doesn't. I think she could be.
Seem to be on TV a ton.
She could be used a bit more than she is, I think. And Miro did a good job in his role of finding an excuse to just beat up some lower card talent. Funny. So I thought this was not great, but Miro's involvement sort of helped.
So we got a Britt Baker interview, which is interrupted by Vicky Guerrero. Vicky says she wants Rose with the title, and Baker kind of mocks her for that. And she says they aren't playing games or old maid. Vicky says she is owed a favor for bringing in Andrade to AEW. And so it's she'll give Rose a title match. Nope. She wants a tag match between Baker and Reba and Rose and herself.
So some more of that stiff Vicky Guerrero offense.
Oh my god. Do you remember her splash from Mania?
Yep.
That's why I don't want to see, because that's when I think of her in a match, that is the first thing that comes to my head.
Can you imagine if she and Rebel are in the ring together?
Oh my
Anyways,
god.
she made some like really weak references to the burger incident of them smelling like sauce and onions or whatever.
This was not good. Like,
at least she wasn't screaming and yelling. She was a little calmer, so we could actually understand what she was saying.
Yeah, but she's gonna wrestle.
But my takeaway was too much Vicky talking, not enough Britt. The best part of this for me is when Britt and Rebel at the end just walked off laughing because they're like, they can't even say anything after that ridiculous challenge. So I don't know. This was whatever.
I don't want to see this.
No, I don't want to see the match, but I've got to hope it's not going to be a lengthy match and there's some sort of gimmick involved or something. I don't know.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, we will have a return to Wednesday.
Yes,
just before the month of TV specials.
Thank you.
So we'll get that tag match that was just mentioned.
Yep.
That's gonna suck. Miro versus Byron Pillman Jr. TNT title, aka squash match that happens to have a title on the line.
Right.
And MJF versus Sammy Guevara.
Miro killing people's pretty fun still.
MJF Guevara could be cool.
Yep. Could be for sure.
And next week we'll have Omega versus Jungle Boy for the world title, which I'm looking forward to very much.
Yeah.
And Hangman Page versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs.
Could be good.
Which I'm not sure. Like, I feel like Hobbs has been kind of diminished, but like this could be good. And
surprise win for him against Page too? No, thank you.
That would be dumb.
No, I don't think
Cage is. I understand because Cage is awesome.
Yes.
Brian Cage, not Christian. Christian sucks. Next we get an FTR versus Proud and Powerful package.
And as much as I did not like some previous stuff, this was a step back up for me. Yep.
Both teams talk about their journeys in brief. Santana says FTR nothing like them. And both teams kind of talk about their hardships in life. I didn't really get much specific. Like, Santana said something about his mother being abused, and like
yes, he witnessed her being abused in every way.
Something about like plastic walls or something.
Yes.
Powerful talking about their AEW debut, and like that was kind of like validation for them.
Yep.
And FTR say they buy fancy stuff because they've earned it, and they say they both kind of like crawled out of their holes, like both teams, but Powerful along the way lost their edge,
right?
Which I think is a fair point. FTR want Proud and Powerful at their best, which I think they said to the Young Bucks as well, so that they can say they beat one of the best, which I like that. Like, they're this heel team. They're like this cheating team, but they want to beat you at your best. Right. They don't want to beat Proud and Powerful while they're down. They want them at their best. They want to say they beat Proud and Powerful at their peak, which I really like.
It felt like them going back to more of their revival, which I like. Like,
and
we're just really awesome
wrestlers,
and we want to have awesome
and
matches.
I think from an in-ring standpoint, this will be a great match. And I thought this segment was really strong.
I love this. It was real, right? I love reality. It's both of them saying we share similarities in terms of we started out in really tough circumstances.
But then they could not be different in modern day.
We've overcome sort of different but challenging backgrounds to get here. This makes this match feel a lot bigger to me. I actually would have been okay if this segment were longer and they went into more detail here. I love when reality is brought into wrestling, and this just felt real. And I don't know, I love this promo.
Yeah, it was really good.
I like the style too, that
just
it was
the realism,
that it was back and forth from one to the other.
And it almost creates that kind of comparison that I think they're trying to go for.
Exactly, helped the compare and contrast style. I thought this was awesome.
Next we get Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling. Sterling says their monetization plan is going great, and the Toronto Four Seasons Hotel is joined with them.
Yeah.
Cargill says Sterling says they'll work with any brand, but then Cargill says she only wants to work with the Elite.
That's right.
Which I think was a nice idea. And so they have a promo code idea, which is obviously the that bitch thing.
Yep.
And then she says she will continue her winning streak on the Rampage debut because she's that bitch. So I actually thought this was good. I liked it, but I think they need to give her a match or something, or do something different, because this was good. Like, I'm not saying this is bad. Like, I did like it, but I need something like actually different sooner or later.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of like the way they're doing this too. I don't think Jade's a bad talker, but I do like that she just mostly stands there looking amazing, because she does,
and
just chimes in the odd sort of remark with attitude.
And then her like kind of catchphrase
as her like smarmy agent sort of runs his mouth for her. She sure has a lot of confidence and charisma, and she's still just kind of learning this business. So I thought this was amusing. I like her just interrupting him every now and then to say something cool. So I thought this was good. Yeah.
Yeah, this was good. Next we get our main event, which is Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian, Eddie Kingston, and Joker Penta versus Matt Jackson and the good brother Carl Anderson and the bad brother Doc Ellis.
Matt Jackson doing his best Triple H, wearing his backwards leather, whatever those kind of hats are called. And he actually wrestled with it on to start the match, too.
And I kind of made a note, I kind of like Kaz's beard, because it looks like he kind of went through like a quote-unquote dark period after the SU
his
split.
Buddy was split,
Roy Anderson-esque in The Office.
Wow, I don't even know if I knew Roy's last name.
I think that's what it... Yeah. Roy Anderson.
Interesting.
Yeah. And because, he has like the beard when he has like the mugshot. So it looks like he's kind of been reinvigorated to hunt down the Elite.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And so he's wearing like long tights now. He did change up his look.
He did.
He has a new theme. It said Heavy Metal Rebel or something on his Tron, which I thought was kind of amusing, because he's probably not. So Kazarian attacks Anderson at the bell and like just as soon as possible whips him in the ropes. Anderson blocks an arm drag. Oh, I forgot. Credit to Jeremy from 411 Mania, I think it is.
Yeah, we borrowed because Jack just wanted to watch this match.
I did just want to watch it. Unfortunately, TGR didn't have it up yet, but we've got our sources.
Yep. Jeremy's our backup. He does a good job too.
He does.
Thorough.
Good. Yeah. Anderson blocks an arm drag because Aaron rolls him up for 2. Big clothesline to Carl Anderson, and Penta tags in. Anderson breaks Penta's eyes, and Mac Jackson comes in for a double whip in the ropes, but Penta kicks Matt's hat off, which is pretty funny, and hits sling blades on both Jackson and Anderson. Tag to Kingston and whip into the ropes. Drop toe hold, and Kingston holds him for Penta to kick him in the head. Headbutt by Kingston to Jackson, and then he throws Matt headfirst in the corner. Chop to the chest, Irish whip, but Matt somersaults through and tags in Doc Gallows, Big LG.
The Big LG.
That doesn't make sense.
I get to see him on multiple shows a week. It's just the best.
Hey, and if you watch on New Japan Strong soon.
Nope. Oh. Well, I actually do tune in once in a while just to see.
Gallows hits a shoulder tackle. I think it was Kingston who hit the shoulder tackle actually.
I can't remember.
And like,
I
remember you like ran into him. Remember you kind of like fell down because like Gallows is just standing there.
Oh yeah.
And Kingston goes for it again, and both kind of stagger each other. And a shoulder tackle from the middle rope finally gets Gallows down. Kingston ends up outside, and it quickly devolves into chaos, and it's a big brawl on the outside. Kingston with fist to Matt, but Gallows hits a shot to the throat, and Matt leaps off the stage onto him. Back from the break, and Anderson is in control. Kingston tags in Doc. Gallows, who tags in Matt Jackson. Good Brothers lift Matt up for a carried dropkick. They kind of like use him as a battering ram. He kind of like he sticks his feet out, and they kind of use him as a battering ram.
Oh, like you're gonna lawn dart him, but
like they use his feet.
Right.
Which was kind of cool.
Yep.
Which I believe got a 2 count. Matt punches Kingston, who kind of hulks up and hits chops to Matt. Matt cuts him off with a rake to the eyes, but Kingston reverses a whip with a belly suplex. Kingston tags in Kaz, who takes out Doc. Gallows whips out Anderson and knocks Matt off the ropes. Another shot to Gallows and a springboard leg drop for 2. Anderson is fighting back, but Kaz counters a spinebuster and locks in a crossface chicken wing until Gallows is able to break it up. Kaz with a big kick to Gallows, but walks into a spinebuster from Anderson. Both men go for a tag, and Penta and Matt are now legal. Diving crossbody by Penta, a spinning backbreaker, and he goes in the ropes. Collides with Gallows and takes him down. Matt whips him in the ropes, and he dodges and leaps on the Good Brothers. DT off the bottom rope, gets a near fall. Kingston tags in. Matt whipped into the corner, and everyone turns in to take him down. Fear Factor to Matt, which they said was the package pile driver, but it's
they don't know.
No, they said he was going for it later, but that Fear Factor is the pump handle half Nelson driver. Backdrop driver and Angel's Wings from Kaz. And Gallows is able to break up the pin. Kind of a flurry of moves on Matt. Gallows picks Matt up and carries him over so Carl Anderson can tag in. Carl runs afoul of Penta and needs a thrust kick, quote unquote, to the jaw. Cover gets a 2 count. Penta goes for Fear Factor, which I think is where this wasn't Fear Factor. But Carl Anderson counters with a neckbreaker. Good Brothers take out Kingston and Kaz. A big avalanche by Gallows onto Penta. Top rope elbow drop by Matt. Gallows covers, but Penta kicks out too. Anderson tags in. Magic Killer is Kaz saves Penta from a Magic Killer. Jackson super kicks Kaz. Kingston takes out Matt. Anderson takes out Kingston, and Penta takes out Anderson. He goes up top, but Nick Jackson comes in for a cheap shot with the cold spray. He kind of sprays him, and a super cutter, which actually ended up being a diving neck breaker by Anderson.
Right.
Pins Penta. That's ridiculous. Penta lost to a goddamn diving neck breaker. Are you kidding me? At least it wasn't a clean finish. So, thoughts?
I thought it was pretty fun main event, but the referee was like really awkwardly hovering over Carl Anderson for a really long time so that he could miss Nick Jackson spraying the cold spray. So that seemed a bit like it just wasn't a natural time for the referee to be over there distracted for so long. So that was a bit annoying, but overall I thought it was pretty fun. It actually felt kind of short despite your recap being very detailed there. I thought the match was pretty short.
Yes, credit to Jeremy.
I thought that the baby faces I guess looked good. Gallows' time was limited, right? Like there wasn't a lot of him doing stuff.
That's always smart. That was one of my notes.
So I don't think this was like an all-time main event, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
This was good. It was action-packed. Unlike the tag match from early in the show, held my interest even while I was eating cereal.
You were.
And again, I did appreciate the limited use of Gallows. Overall, I liked it though. I think the finish at least leaves an easy point of continuation. A good main event and a step up from some of the previous main events. A bull rope match.
Right, that is true. For sure.
Show thoughts.
Overall, this show was a mixed bag for me, especially in ring. I liked the handicap match in the main event, and that was pretty much it wrestling-wise. The Factory, the Wingmen, Julia Hart are not things that should be on Dynamite, and if you're gonna put them on, don't put all 3 on. Put one of these like lesser acts in a show, not 3 of them, please. Segment-wise, I pretty much enjoyed everything, or at least I didn't dislike anything in segment-wise. Omega's segment was entertaining. Andrade's interview was fine. Paige and Dark Order was really good. Jade segment.
The cage fight?
Jade segment was good. That was one of the in-ring things I didn't really like. The only wrestling I liked was the main event, and my favorite match was the
handicap match was like surprisingly strong.
So I'm gonna give the show a B-. The matches lacked interest for me and star power as well. If I'd connected more with the opener, I think it would have been a solid B show. But I was kind of bored by the first half of that, and it's just, again, it's just not for me. I'm not saying it was bad. So not my favorite episode of Dynamite. I didn't think it was terrible, so I gave it a B+ in like the lower solid range, I guess. What about you?
Nice. So the opener was good enough. I wasn't really a fan, but just because it wasn't for me doesn't invalidate it. And it was good, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
That's fair.
Like, I think most people will like it.
I think so too. I'll be interested to find out, actually.
There were a couple good and short promos from Team Taz and the Kaz Kingston Penta trio. I really enjoyed the handicap match. I thought it over-delivered for me. Like, I was
worried about it.
Like, yeah. And so I thought it really delivered. It was worked smartly. Overall, it was good. Held my interest for sure.
Yep.
Can't say the same for Cassidy versus Cesar Bononi. It was kind of lame. But okay, I guess.
It was like
it
4
really
minutes,
did feel like a dark match.
Yep.
Omega and Jungle Boy segment was good. And if Jungle Boy isn't a great speaker, they were smart to have him do little talking again. HFO segment wasn't interesting, but it was kind of harmless, I guess. Brock Anderson's debut hardly felt like Brock Anderson's debut, as it once again felt like a showcase for big star Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it might be due to Anderson's training, because he didn't do the best here. And maybe they knew that and gave him limited offense. And if that is true, they should have just pushed this back and not put him on. Yes, it was unnecessary for him to debut. Absolutely unnecessary if he wasn't fully ready. As a match, is pretty standard and didn't really hold my interest. Even Cody's hype-up hot tag was just standard, and overall, I definitely could have done without this.
Mm-hmm.
Andrade's interview is good. I can't wait for him to debut, like, in-ring. I'm looking forward to that for sure. I really like Hangman's segment and the slow and subtle build to the Omega match. I think because of that might be one of my favorite segments of the show. Maybe my favorite segment.
I liked it too.
Penelope Ford vs. Julia Hart wasn't great, and a last-minute addition to the show. It really felt like that.
Yeah,
I think.
It did.
A Baker segment was fine, but it set up a match I don't want. Like, that tag match is going to, yeah.
I firmly believe that's not going to be a match, that will be a vehicle for something else to happen.
I hope so.
I think.
FTR and Power and Powerful's rivalry package was really good and probably like
awesome.
A contender for my favorite segment as well. Like, I thought that was really good. The way it was structured was really smart. Cargill's promo was good, but she needs to do something different as this was too much the same. But it was good.
Yeah.
The main event was good and action-packed. There's a general storyline I enjoy with the babyfaces having to unite against this dirtbag faction. Which I think that's a really cool thing.
Right.
Like, just like this faction, like they've got the major titles. They're just like, and they're EVP. They can do whatever they want. So
that's
like
right.
you have to have all these wrestlers kind of unite against them. And I like Kaz's Elite Hunter gimmick.
Yep.
Overall, a good show. Like a bit of a mixed bag, I agree, but I think mostly good. So I'd give it a B.
Nice. I just was like, the segments I really liked for the most part, a couple of them a lot, and the in-ring stuff not so much was how it worked out for me. All right, so that's going to wrap up our AEW Dynamite review. We'll move into any other wrestling business and talk about some other stuff there. So let's do that now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start off with some Impact Wrestling from this week, a couple days ago, I guess. The show begins with a summary of Kenny Omega and Don Callis being involved with the Impact storyline from the very beginning up to Omega retaining his title at Against All Odds. So just kind of a summary of everything. Highlights of the match are shown, including the involvement of the Young Bucks, Sami Callihan's involvement, and his subsequent firing, quote-unquote, by Don Callis at the end of that show. So Gia is shown knocking on Scott D'Amore's office, hoping that he can shed some light on the situation involving Callahan's firing and everything else. Moose shows up, cuts in front of Gia, knocks on the door, and D'Amore comes out. Moose says he got screwed, and D'Amore knows it. He knows Sami was fired, and he doesn't really care. He wants another shot at Omega at Slammiversary. D'Amore understands that Moose is angry, says the Impact Board is sending someone down to address the situation, and that has never happened before. D'Amore says that he doesn't have time right then, but it will somehow get settled. He goes back into his office and closes the door as Moose says, "You don't have time? I'll make you time." So this was a logical start to the show, I thought. They have to address the main event that had the screwy finish, and Moose is angry. I like that they decided to address it right away, as it's a transition from the end of the show, and it was a fairly brief segment, so it was fine. Just a note here, it is still Josh Matthews on commentary, but he hasn't annoyed me the last, 3 weeks now, I think, plus the pay-per-view. I haven't had any, I haven't gone on any major rants or anything about him. I think he's sort of toned it down a little bit. So the first match we get is TJP with Fallah Bahh versus Black Taurus with Crazy Steve. So on paper, at least, this match interests me going into it. We get holds and counters early. Somehow, it's crazy because Taurus is a pretty big guy, right? He can hang with TJP's speed, and they exchange moves near the start of this to showcase their speed. We get a pump handle backbreaker by Taurus, and he starts sort of targeting TJP's back. TJP spills to the floor after missing a corner move. We get a torture rack into a backbreaker across his knee by Taurus that looked really nice. Drop kick and a Hurricane Rana by TJP at some point. Springboard elbow and a boot wash in the corner by TJP. Tornado DDT by TJP. Taurus escapes to the floor. We get a slingshot dive onto the group of people outside. Back in the ring, and it's a Mamba splash, and it's over sort of quickly, I found. Moose comes out, attacks TJP after the match, chucks him out of the ring. Moose grabs a chair and a mic, sits in the ring, calls out Scott D'Amore. He's hijacking the show once again. Security come out. Moose threatens them and calls D'Amore out again. As he turns to sit back down, Chris Sabin flies out of nowhere with a missile dropkick, hits Moose in the head with the chair. Sabin throws his shoes as Moose retreats up the ramp. Sabin challenges Moose to a fight right then and there, but Moose leaves to end the segment. I don't really love that the TJP Taurus match was used as a backdrop for a Moose Sabin segment. Taurus is really cool and was looking good in this brief match before TJP hits a couple things and pins Taurus clean, which I didn't love. I've said it before, it adds to this feeling that Taurus, they don't have plans for him. He's not going to be there long and needs to go back to Mexico where he was before this, right? And that they're just using him while they have him to put other people over, which is too bad because Taurus is one of the most interesting performers on this show right now for me. Sabin actually sounded good in a promo using a bit of fire here, which is a nice change for him because I find him normally almost unlistenable in promos, so this was a lot better. And I thought Moose's takeover was kind of lame because Chris Sabin attacks him and then it didn't make Moose look super strong, right? He's determined, I'm taking over the show until I get what I want. Nope, one guy attacked me and hit me with a drop kick, I'm out of here, sort of thing. Then we have Rohit. He's backstage complaining to Ace Austin about the state of the X Division as Fulton is pacing sort of behind them. Ace apologizes for Fulton dropping Rohit on his head at Against All Odds because Fulton won't apologize, he says, but that Fulton was getting revenge on all of them for when they set him up and hit him with the Super Destroyer 2 weeks ago. Rohit said that it's fine when it's happening to someone but him, which I thought was kind of funny. Austin suggests that he and Rohit get on the same page to level the field at Ultimate X and have a fair fight between the two of them, as they should be running the division. So it's Ace Austin basically saying, hey man, you know it should be you and me. Why don't we join forces and take out everybody else in the Ultimate X? Rohit thinks about it, says that it makes sense, and kind of reluctantly agrees, but says that Austin is not the only one with an ace up his sleeve, and then he kind of ends it there. I actually like this. This is two of my favorite heels on the show, kind of setting up a shaky alliance that will most likely not work out, right? But it should be fun to sort of watch their agreement fall apart. And it adds a little bit of a story going into the Ultimate X as well, that these two plan to try and work together to sort of take advantage of the other guys kind of working individually. So I thought this was a solid segment. Then Chris Sabin is stopped by Gia backstage. She points out that we haven't seen Sabin since Under Siege, which I'd kind of forgotten. Sabin asks who Moose thinks he is. He's offended by Moose calling himself a wrestling god, and Sabin thinks that the wrestling god sent him to take out Moose, and he challenges Moose to a match at Slammiversary. And again, I thought Sabin's much better at cutting these sort of intense promos. The lighter, more comedic ones he's kind of been doing before this, when tagging with James Storm a month back or whatever it was, I did not like at all, but this one wasn't bad if I'm being fair. Commentary then remind us that Sami Callihan has been fired, or maybe not, who knows, and that it will be addressed tonight, and then they run down the card for tonight's show. Madman Fulton with Ace Austin then is going to face Josh Alexander in a non-title match, as Josh Alexander is the current X Division champion, so non-title here. We get a Beal by Fulton after a stalemate sort of to start this match. Delayed vertical release suplex by Fulton. He then lawn darts Alexander onto the apron, hits a boot to Alexander's face. STO and a face claw by Fulton. Austin interference as the ref is distracted. He sort of grinds. It looks like he has a ring or something, and he's grinding it into Alexander's face. We get a second rope knee drop to the back of Fulton's head and a delayed vertical by Alexander. Roaring elbow and the double underhook pile driver, and Josh Alexander wins. Austin immediately attacks. Petey Williams comes out to make the save. We get a code breaker, and he sets up for the destroyer. But Rohit comes out since he sort of made this tentative alliance with Ace Austin. So he comes out and takes out Petey Williams. Trey Miguel comes out and takes out Rohit. Mahabali Shera comes out. I guess this might have been the secret like advantage that Rohit was talking about. So he comes out, takes out Petey and Trey. Alexander and Shera sort of square off. Shera with a choke slam into a backbreaker, and he stands tall. The four heels with the new alliance sort of raise their arms in celebration. So Shera, Rohit, Ace Austin, and Fulton are sort of this makeshift little heel faction heading into the X Division match, I guess. The match was kind of odd. Fulton pretty much dominated, and then Alexander hit a few moves and won. And I'm glad he did win and that he won clean, but I almost don't like it almost had like a fluky feeling to it, right? Like, oh, look, he managed to pull out a win against Madman Fulton. All of the run-ins afterward were kind of cheesy, but they're fine. I don't love Shera taking out Alexander's. The message here seems to be that big, like Fulton and Shera, equals kind of better than the X Division. Like Fulton taking out 4 of them at a time at the pay-per-view. I don't love that message, right? I hate that story of, sure, the X Division guys are really good, but somebody big can just come and take them all out really quickly. I don't love that story.
Right.
We then get sort of a secret filming of Deonna. It's kind of like where they're not aware the camera's there, of Deonna sort of dressing down Kimberly and Susan backstage. She says that she is basically done with them. Lee is the one trying to apologize and make things better. Susan sort of stands up for herself, says that Purrazzo wouldn't be champion if it weren't for them. Lee tries again to be the peacemaker here, but Deonna is done with them and walks out, and Susan calls her a degenerate millennial as she's leaving the room. I thought Purrazzo was really good here, as she always did, and I'm kind of happy to see if she is going to split from these two. It's welcomed by me. Purrazzo is awesome, but could use some freshening up, and hopefully this is the start of it. Lee and Susan were fine in their roles here as well, but I feel like them going their separate ways at this point, it's about time. Gia then talks to W. Morrissey about what's next after defeating Rich Swann at Against All Odds. Morrissey says that everyone in Impact seems to be under a spell. They have the idea that they have helpful friends. Well, how did that work out for Rich Swann? How did that work out for Willie Mack? How did that work out for TJP and Fallah Bahh tonight when Moose came out? How's it working for Kojima and Eddie Edwards? Kind of decent points he's making there. He says the truth is they're not friends, and they will just stab people in the back when they get the chance. In this industry and in life, he says the only person he trusts is himself, and he walks off. I thought this was good, somewhat repetitive promo, but I do like his calm, measured delivery. They clearly have big plans for him, right? Because he soundly defeated the company's most recent champion in Rich Swann at Against All Odds. So I think they have some big plans for Morrissey, which I don't love him in the ring. I think he's fine. I have been enjoying his character work in promos lately, though. We then get, are you ready? Finally, the debut of Steve Macklin versus Jason Page. Don't know who he is.
Steve Cutler.
Yes. So it's basically formerly Steve Cutler. He's had some vignettes where he's basically talking about unleashing Mr. Mayhem, I think he's calling it. So this is his debut here. He's wearing black tights with a leather like overcoat. Kind of has a generic theme playing, I thought. He has basic but really aggressive looking offense. At one point he hits a front suplex but drops what's his name? Jason Page over the top rope instead. Page starts with a flurry, and a big clothesline by Macklin stops it. Macklin at one point rains down elbows to a seated Page kind of from behind him, and an inverted suplex into a sit-out slam is his finisher that, I don't know, it's okay, I guess. It really doesn't end up, if you think about what it actually is, it's not that spectacular, but it looks kind of cool. So I thought it was a decent squash as a debut. I'm not totally sure about Macklin yet. He's working kind of like a Haas style, I would call it, but he isn't exactly a Haas to me. But he looked believably aggressive and mean, and I'm always happy to see new talent, at least at first, so I'm fine with this debut, and we'll see where he goes from here. We then get Rachel Ellering. She's talking to Jordan Grace. And basically she's trying to patch things up between them. Grace has been slowly growing more frustrated and kind of teasing a heel turn in her sort of tenuous, union with Rachel Ellering here. She says she wants Grace to be at ringside for her match with Tenille. Grace says that Ellering doesn't even know what Grace is mad about. Grace has been trying to win the tag title since Ellering got to Impact. And she's tired of everyone saying that she only won them because she added Ellering as a partner. So she's not necessarily mad at Ellering for whatever Ellering thinks it is. It's that Ellering's getting too much credit for Grace being successful, right? Which is a nice subtle heel thing to start with. Ellering says that only Tenille has been saying that, which is true. And Grace tells her that she wouldn't even know because pretty much the only person, or she would know because the only person Ellering talks to is Tenille, and that she's not really talking to anyone else. And Jordan walks away. I think Jordan's doing a really good job portraying subtle jealousy, and Ellering's kind of growing on me as this soft-spoken, rational babyface trying to save their relationship. It feels like things may progress further in Ellering's match tonight, but I guess we'll find out. So I thought this was a decent little segment between these two. Gia is then talking to Don Callis about the Scott D'Amore Callis firing Sami Callihan issue. Callis insults Alabama quickly, which is where Gia is from, and says that he and D'Amore are basically like siblings and that sometimes siblings have issues with each other. He and Scott have different skill sets, and that's how they were able to resurrect this company together. D'Amore can't put his feelings and emotions aside and has too much empathy for the talent. Callis sees the talent as numbers on a spreadsheet and can be the heavy and do what's right for the company. Sami's firing was inevitable. Callis just ripped the Band-Aid off by firing him. Gia asks about Impact sending someone to address the situation, and Callis assumes that they are coming to thank him since Sami's always been a corporate liability anyways, and that Callis finally got rid of him. So Callis did a good job of presenting this and using some heel logic. And obviously, I think it's just him setting himself up for great disappointment, right? Because he's like, oh, they're going to come and thank me. And obviously, that's not what's going to happen. So he's setting up like a strong reaction when whatever happens does happen. I think it's kind of a bit of a miss, though, because when he's talking about he doesn't care about any of the talent, that they're just numbers on a spreadsheet. Well, guess what? You've spent how many months now being like best friends and the closest thing to being blood relatives with talent, right? So there's a bit of a disconnect there because although maybe that's him just being a heel and not acknowledging that, right? But he's basically super tight with a bunch of the talent, but now he's trying to say like, I hate all the talent and they're basically dogs and they're just numbers on a page for me, which there's strong evidence to indicate that is not the case. Tenille Dashwood versus Rachel Ellering is next. Jordan Grace does not accompany Ellering to the ring here, it should be noted. Tenille tries to present Ellering with a Tenille and Caleb t-shirt before the match, like a really cheap, just iron-on graphic on a white t-shirt that's kind of funny. Rachel overpowers in the lockup but breaks clean from Tenille twice. Ellering starts working Dashwood's left arm, holds and counters for a long time to start. Shoulder tackles by Ellering, which sadly was a highlight of the action at this point. Caleb grabs Ellering's foot, and Tenille takes control. Irish Rip reversal. Ellering goes into the guardrail after the quote-unquote action goes outside the ring. I think you can see how I'm feeling about this match here. Mm-hmm. Some subtle hints. Top rope crossbody by Dashwood. It does pick up a bit. Suplex by Ellering and a sling blade. Running senton by Ellering. Spinebuster by Ellering. Signature low crossbody by Tenille in the corner. A slap fires up Ellering. She hits a leg drop off the second rope, but Caleb momentarily causes a distraction. Surprise, surprise. And Ellering gets rolled up and takes the loss. Commentary at this point somewhat awkwardly point out that Ellering might have won if Grace were there to neutralize Caleb. Thanks. We kind of got that was the point, right? They just had to tell us in case we missed it. And I generally have no issue with either of these two women, but this match, if I'm being honest, bored me for the most part. There wasn't much going on for quite a while. The pace was just kind of slow throughout. I've seen much better from both of these women. It felt like two wrestlers working super safe, like it's a house show and they don't want to hurt themselves or something. I don't know. There was very few risks taken here. I like that Jordan Grace never came out, as her absence may have cost Ellering, as commentary pointed out. So adds just another element to this sort of slow heel turn she's on. TJP, Falaba are knocking on D'Amore's door as Steve and Taurus walk up. So again, the whole interrupting people backstage is a huge part of every Impact for the last month or so. Decay are frustrated too. TJP tells them to get lost. Steve says they have unfinished business, and Ba wants to up the ante and hints at a tag match. Crazy Steve seems to agree, And surprising sounds mean, but TJP actually seemed a bit charismatic here. And normally when he speaks, I'm just like, ugh. I find it amusing that no one else is at all afraid of this dark and mysterious Decay faction, right? It's just like they're normal people, but they have this dark and sort of terrifying gimmick, but nobody seems to care. It makes their gimmick seem kind of ridiculous at times, and it comes up again with Rosemary a bit later, I think, in the show. But it's just like, you're supposed to be dark and creepy and ominous, and everyone just talks to you like you're regular people. Fire and Flava then speak after their successful title defense. So here's the part I think you heard about, right? Their new mission is to make sure that everyone there knows that they are the best. So they start with like a caretaker who's mopping beside them conveniently. They ask him who the best tag team in the company is. He says he just started there today. They tell him that's no excuse. He doesn't know who they are. They tell him as a guy pushing a bin of garbage then appears next. They ask him the same question about who the best tag team is, and he just kind of says, Rosemary shows up now and accuses them of harassing these people. They say they don't have time for Rosemary, but then Havoc shows up. Rosemary slams Tasha into the wall before they throw Kiera into the garbage. Kiera pulls out one of the trash bags, and it has Mickey written on it on a piece of tape, which is obviously a reference to Mickey getting released from WWE and then sending her stuff.
Foreshadowing a debut.
Well, isn't she? I think she's booking NWA, the NWA tournament. Well, I guess they kind of work together. So who knows? The secret door is open or whatever.
Forbidden door.
Whatever.
How dare you?
So again, Rosemary showing up trying to do her spooky dark stuff when she never wins, as no one is afraid of her, is kind of making her look silly right now. Because it's just like, hey, somebody who's supposed to be terrifying in makeup, how's it going? And you never win, so you're not scary. Only when Havoc shows up and intimidates them with her sheer size do Fire and Flavor sort of get worried a little bit. Flava, sorry. The segment was okay, but it made Fire and Flava look kind of weak in multiple ways. Like, no one working there knows who they are, despite being champions, and they get taken out pretty easily by another sort of seems like maybe a team forming here or some sort of alliance. So, I don't know. It was fine. Kojima with Eddie Edwards versus Rhino with Violent by Design. If Kojima wins this match, he and Eddie earn a tag title shot. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen here, right? And again, Eddie Edwards just seems like a spare part drifting around that they just throw wherever they need him to go, sort of thing.
Kojima needs a partner? Oh, there you are, Eddie.
So I wonder if Kojima's going to win this to lead to a tag match. Shoulder tackle gives Rhino control early. Lots of forearms by Kojima before a back elbow. Neck vice by Rhino. Infinite chops by Kojima. I can't stand this spot because by the time he does a bunch of them, there's like no impact on. Like, I just don't get it.
I remember Kingston did it once and it didn't look.
I don't like it. I don't get it. Top rope elbow drop by Kojima for a near fall. More forearms, including a discus one by Kojima. Counter into a DDT by Kojima. Belly to belly by Rhino. Koji cutter leading to his finishing lariat. And the win for Kojima, and surprise, surprise, he and Eddie Edwards will get a title shot at whatever the next thing is that I already forget. There was some decent physicality in this match, but it was a pretty slow pace. I can't say I really enjoyed it. It's two older, slower guys hitting a lot of forearms and chops mixed in with the odd wrestling move. Kojima looked pretty gassed after not a very long and basic match, so I don't know if that bodes well, but putting him in a tag, I guess, is smarter. So did not really enjoy this. Josh and D'Lo are now talking about next week's show, and we can hear Sammy ranting in the background, and it cuts to him in the ring with the microphone. He calls out Don Callis and Kenny Omega as he angrily paces around the ring. Security are sent to the ring, but can't get Sammy to leave. So D'Amore walks down to the ramp, gets in the ring, and sends security away. D'Amore says that for once, he's on Sammy's side. He says that Callis overstepped his boundaries and D'Amore's trying to fix it, and what Sammy is doing right now isn't helping. He asks Sammy to have faith in him this one time. He does a good job of it. Sammy says that he is the soul of this company. He hates authority, but for once, he's going to do it D'Amore's way. And it was sort of his signature glitching happens, and Sammy has just disappeared from the ring, leaving D'Amore all alone. Callis approaches saying, I told you so, and that there's no amount of therapy available that could fix Sammy Callahan. He says he may have overstepped, but he did it for D'Amore because D'Amore has a soft spot for them, meaning like the wrestlers. He goes on to say that people like he and D'Amore are better than the wrestlers. They don't wrestle anymore because they're too smart, and they're better than the talent. He sees the talent as insects and tools to make money. he had the guts to fire Sammy. They argue a bit more, and Tommy Dreamer comes out. Callis tells Dreamer to go back to the bingo hall. Dreamer reveals, my goodness, that he is the person corporate sent because he went to them about this issue, and Callis calls him a stooge. So way to build a surprise and then not deliver, I felt like. Sammy has been reinstated, and someone else needs to be fired. And of course, all of the lead up is Dreamer talking to D'Amore. So we're supposed to feel like D'Amore is going to be fired, but it's clear immediately where this was going. And yes, swerve, he fires Don Callis at the end. Callis appropriately freaks out, but eventually leaves saying, we'll see about that. Sammy stops Callis backstage, and Callis is afraid. Sammy says that he will bash Omega's brains out, and he walks away. So Omega and the Good Brothers, etc., don't have any issue with Callis's opinion of wrestlers, calling them insects and numbers on a page and stuff. No, that's fine. No, easily that's forgiven. You could see this segment coming a mile away. Teasing someone coming out and having it be Dreamer is pretty weak, right? Like, oh, someone's coming from corporate.
I saw something from this, and his hair's bad.
Who?
Dreamer.
Oh yeah, it was different here. Callis's performance is really good.
He was trying to look like Road Warrior Animal, though.
Oh yeah, I guess it's growing back in from that. Callis's performance was good, but his stance doesn't make total sense because he's friends with many wrestlers, and now he's saying they're basically scum of the earth. D'Amore was fine too, but it was clear that he wasn't the one being fired, so I don't know if they thought they were building suspense and then swerving, but anybody that watches any wrestling could see where this was going. Him getting so upset and thinking it was him didn't really connect with me because I could tell it wasn't going to be him getting fired. It didn't feel good enough to be this final segment of a show, especially when the big reveal was a guy that's already there every week. So it's kind of disappointing for me. Overall, I didn't think this was a very strong episode of Impact, especially in ring. TJP Taurus underdelivered and was really just a vehicle to get Moose out there to hold the show hostage, even though he didn't. He held it hostage for 90 seconds
got attacked by a smaller guy,
and then was never seen again, right? So even that didn't seem to work for me. Fulton Alexander was okay, but I don't think it helped Alexander. He got the clean win, but it was kind of like you dominated and then got a fluky win. The Macklin was a squash match debut. It was fine. Ellering, Tennille, and Kojima Rhino bored me for the most part. Segment-wise, I didn't love Fire and Flava looking kind of weak and silly. D'Amore Callis' story was anticlimactic, but by the end of it, and was a good chunk of the show. So as you can probably tell, I didn't have a great time watching this. Frankly, it felt like a bit of a chore this week, and I gave it a C. I didn't the in-ring stuff wasn't great. The segments, I get what they were trying to do, but I don't think they were amazing either. So That's my take on Impact Wrestling this week. A C, do better. It usually is better than this. I thought it was a weak show this week.
Nice.
What do you want to do next? You want to do?
I have my match, which is also Impact.
So I thought that was an interesting choice by you this week.
So I chose for Pro Wrestling Rewind number 17, I think. Is Moose versus Bobby Lashley from Impact Wrestling's Genesis pay-per-view from 2018.
Right.
And because just based by the talent involved, I assume this would be good.
So this was a period where I wasn't watching Impact at this time, but I was vaguely following it through podcasts mostly. So this, I did a little bit of research. I don't know if you did, just
I did not
add some color to this. Good. So this actually, despite being Genesis, was an episode of Impact at this time.
Oh.
And it was filmed in Ottawa. Hey, Canada.
Hey.
So the main event of this pay-per-view was a 6 sides of steel.
I thought it wasn't a pay-per-view though.
Or sorry, of this show, whatever you want. It was when they're kind of doing what
AEW does.
Right. It was a special episode. So the main event was a 6 sides of steel match in which Eli Drake successfully defended the global championship at that time against Alberto El Patron and Johnny Impact. And at this point, Lashley's affiliated with Dan Lambert. I don't really know. I think he's from the MMA world, maybe.
American Top Team or whatever.
And KM, who is just a big wrestler guy. And I think the idea coming into this that Lashley's starting to get tired of their shenanigans.
Brian Cage right now.
Right. Kind of that idea. So on the cusp of maybe breaking away from this group, but not quite. And that will come into play in this match. The only other thing that I wanted to say before you get started is the difference in Moose's physique, right? From then to now is pretty shocking because Moose is now ripped. And back then he was always a big guy, obviously, but not quite in the shape he's in now. So I thought it's interesting to see him 3 years ago. Looks completely different and much better now. And Matthews, one comment he said early on that I thought was ridiculous was that the only difference between these two is that Lashley is quicker than Moose. So no, one guy is a legit shoot fighter who's got years of professional fighting training, and the other guy is a football player. So I think like trying to say like they're basically the same, but Lashley's quicker is not at all the case. But anyways, that's Josh Matthews.
And they got a 6-sided ring.
Yeah. They did. So go ahead, you talk about this match. So you basically said going into this you thought it would be good because both these guys are good.
Yes.
Carry on.
Double leg takedown and punches by Lashley. Corner punches by Lashley. Corner shoulder block and punch by Lashley. Corner chops by Moose. Corner shoulder blocks by Lashley after reversal of Moose's corner punches. Headbutt by Lashley. Snap suplex for 1 by Lashley. More corner shoulder blocks by Lashley. A pump kick by Moose and some corner chops. Top rope crossbody and a kip up by Moose. KM distracts Moose and a clothesline by Lashley, and Lashley clearly doesn't want interference.
A couple of my notes at 7 minutes. The pace has not been very fast.
Right. Neck breaker by Lashley for 2. Moose is choked over the barricade by Lashley, and then he gets sent into the apron. Lashley chokes Moose on the middle rope. A throat chop by Lashley. Moose dropkicks Lashley off the second turnbuckle, like he does now.
Yeah, kinda. It always looks cool.
Yeah. Lashley sends Moose in the steel steps, strikes on the outside by Lashley. KM puts a table in the ring, but Lashley doesn't want it. Headbutt by Moose. Running corner attacks and a hesitation dropkick by Moose.
That looked good too.
Yeah. A sit-out spinebuster by Moose.
Called the Go to Hell. It's his signature at that point, I think.
Lashley leapfrogs over Moose's attack and hits a running Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Interesting. Him and Wardlow this week, surprising us with Ranas.
A spear by Lashley, but Moose gets a rope break. Moose avoids the power slam and sends Lashley into KM. Discus clothesline for 2 by Moose, and then ripcord discus clothesline, as if that's different.
Right.
For the win by Moose.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a decent match, I guess, but I had much higher expectations. Both these guys are great, and maybe I had too high expectations, but I expected more. This is okay, not as good as I hoped. There were a few moves of note, but like if we're kind of plotting at times, like the spear and the Hurricane Rana by Lashley, maybe.
Yeah.
And the go to hell. A lot of corner offense and not a lot of like actual moves.
Yes.
Overall, an okay match. I'm really low B-, I guess, because like.
Yeah, I
guess it wasn't.
I thought
bad.
Some of my notes are like just basically Lashley in control with basic offense, and I had a question like, is Moose holding Lashley back here? Like, is Moose at this point not good? Like, I don't know. I don't think this was good. When have you seen like a 15-minute plus match where Lashley doesn't really do any, like there was no suplexes, no real impressive power moves or anything, really basic stuff. I thought the first 3 quarters of this was just Lashley executing basic offense at a slow pace, and then just as it was starting to pick up with Moose in control at the end and he was stringing together some stuff, it was over. And maybe because this was at least partly about the post-match stuff, right? Because this is when it all came to a head with Lashley and his little group there. The crowd weren't really into this either. It felt like Lashley was kind of just going through the motions. I'm wondering if this was maybe one of the times Impact was hanging by a thread or Lashley wasn't happy being there or something, but I was disappointed in his performance specifically in this match overall. I gave it a C. I didn't think it was good, frankly. It's okay. I don't mind that you're just trying matches without even looking up if they're good or not, and we just check them out. That's totally fine by me. So it didn't bother me watching it, but it definitely disappointed me for sure.
Yep.
I was hoping for much better. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the final thing we're going to do before we hit figuring it out, right, is going to be looking at quickly previewing the Hell in a Cell. I haven't put much thought into it, but I never do. And I was saying, like, my accuracy rate...
It's not down to you. It's more down to them.
I have incredibly high accuracy predicting their stuff, which doesn't say much for them because I don't watch the product and I pretty much get everything right.
Right. So they're so easy to telegraph.
Let's talk about it. First match we have on our list is Cesaro versus Rollins. Who are you taking?
Cesaro, Seth Rollins.
Okay, you're taking Seth Rollins. Any reason?
Seth Rollins.
I am also taking Rollins just in the...
I feel like if I'm looking at the future, like I've heard rumors of Cena versus Roman at SummerSlam, I'm still holding out hope for Rollins versus Roman, but like regardless if that happens or not, I think future plans, Rollins is more...
Rollins is the one they're going to keep stronger. That's where I'm coming from, right? They clearly don't care much about Cesaro. They gave him his little mini push and now it's like back to whatever.
Back to Rollins.
So I think I'm taking Rollins as well.
I almost maybe like, I don't know how they would book him as to face turn now, but...
Who?
Rollins.
Yeah, I don't know. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens? Kevin Owens. It should be an awesome match. Just for the sake of difference, I'll take Zayn just because I don't really have any strong thoughts about it. I just know
don't care.
These guys will beat the hell out of each other, though.
Yeah, but it's the millionth time.
I know. I don't even care. I just think they're both awesome workers, and
I just wish there was an actual blood feud.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like this time around, it's just.
But since I don't watch anyways,
I think the face heel dynamics are messed up.
See, I don't even know. To be honest, I don't know.
Owens is a face.
Yeah.
You should know.
I know Zayn's a heel. I don't know what Owens is doing lately. I haven't really heard anything. He's a face. I don't know. I just think when it comes to main roster pay-per-views, I'm kind of watching it as in a vacuum almost. I'm kind of aware what's going on. I listen to some stuff, but I can really just go.
I just when Zayn was the face and Owens was the heel, just I remember it was good.
I just find with this stuff, I can really easily just talk about the match for its own sake. I don't worry too much about the other stuff because I don't follow it. Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler.
Oh God. Shayna Baszler.
I also am going to take Baszler out of the hope that she's been made to look so stupid for so long that maybe there's a chance.
She's teamed with Nia Jax for the better part of the year.
Yes.
And now she's involved in a storyline with Bliss, who's arguably the dumbest character on the roster.
And a tiny little waif of a thing when Baszler should be
Baszler should be the megastar of the roster.
She should be Brock Lesnar in the women's division.
But would they ever treat Brock Lesnar like this? No. But that doesn't mean, and you can't even argue she doesn't have UFC people will probably know who she is still. I
know. I just feel like Vince at the end of the day is she's not beautiful enough for him to focus on. But that doesn't matter with men though. That's the stupid double standard he has. Anyways, that's just me putting that on him. So
not beautiful.
Bianca Belair versus Bayley, Hell in a Cell match for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Belair, because they've made Bayley a joke.
Yeah, I just don't see from what I'd understand.
She went from a serious dominant heel last year, and now she's just chuckling like a freaking Jack in the Box clown.
I'll take Belair as well. The only thing is maybe I've heard that Belair's reign hasn't been great, so if Vince is ready to pull the plug.
Bayley hasn't been great either, though.
I know. But she's an established. She's done it before. I don't know. I'll still take Belair because I don't think her reign should come to an end yet. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship.
Ooh.
Tough, right?
Yeah.
What are you saying? I know my pick.
Don't know.
I'm going to take Charlotte Flair because Charlotte Flair, and I've heard that Ripley's reign has been kind of lackluster, and I feel like this might be the one where they're going to pull the plug on it. Because Charlotte's the greatest thing ever, so if this champion's struggling, we're going to put it...
I guess I'll go with Charlotte.
Can't miss with her.
I don't really know where to go, and that feels like a safe bet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Playing the percentages.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair at a pay-per-view, pick her is generally my rule of thumb. Drew McIntyre versus Robert Lashley, Hell in a Cell for the WWE title. What a fresh matchup this is, my God. This has been since Mania, right? Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong, right? Who are you taking?
Lashley, I guess.
Me too. I just don't think
McIntyre it's he went from the Chosen when he finally got his opportunity. Now he's just asking for an opportunity over and over. It's how is this still going? How is this going since Mania?
I agree. It's just take 7 or whatever.
Braun Strowman at least freshened it up.
He gone. I don't even know who that is anymore.
Lashley. That's true.
But anyways, that's our predictions. Nothing different. The only one we have is the Zayn Owens prediction. And that's the problem because it is pretty easy usually to see where they're going.
I'm not even that interested where I have a major reason to pick anyone.
This will be, I take very light notes and we'll probably talk about it on Monday, I would think.
Yeah.
If we get a chance.
I'll subject myself to that.
People seem to like the pay-per-view reviews, so we should probably stick with it. But anyways, that leads us to transitioning into our final segment each week, which is Jack updating us on the world of wrestling figures in Figuring It Out with Jack.
So there wasn't anything official, so there were some leaks that I saw in a video, so I guess I'll cover that.
If that's what we got, that's what we got.
That is what we got.
Do it.
Mostly Legends Elite series, so we got Series 12, which will have Billy Gunn, which is odd because he's an AEW.
He is an AEW.
But this will be his DX Army attire.
Yay.
And which I think is kind of cool, if you want to DX Army, and he's reusing the camo pants from the Ciampa Elite.
Right.
So that's cool because he's one of the only ones we have an image of. We got Roddy Piper.
Heard of him?
Kevin Nash.
Canadian.
Kevin Nash?
No.
And Junkyard Dog.
Nice.
So that's cool. Legend Series 13 will have DX Army Triple H.
Nice.
Which would be cool. Jake the Snake Roberts, who's the Chase, also in AEW.
Interesting.
It's weird because he was in one of the early Legend series, like when they brought it back, like Series 7 or 8.
They might just be going, hey, Jake's finally relevant. Like, why don't we try and cash in?
I guess.
Despite it not being
Cowboy
with us.
Bob Orton, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done one with him in like forever.
Right.
And then Hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting.
He's good.
Legend Series 14, we got Edge, who will be the Chase.
Mm-hmm.
We got, I think the most interesting one, Mean Mark Callis.
Yeah, that's cool.
AKA Undertaker.
That's pretty weird that they're doing that.
I know, but
but those are the ones that, like, I feel like collector people really want to get. Like, I listened to one
right,
podcast.
Like, when they made that, like, Comic-Con exclusive Isaac Yankem, where, like, a Shockmaster.
Somebody I listened to, I forget, is dying for the Kama Elite. Did they do one of those, I think?
Kama Mustafa, yeah.
Like the Ultimate Fighting Machine or whatever he was. Yeah, he
Supreme
really wants
Fighting
that
Machine.
One. Yes, that's it.
And then there's DX Army, China, and Road Dogg.
Nice.
And then Legend Series 15 will be Andre the Giant, who will be Chase.
Heard of him.
I think it'd be cool if they did one, like, maybe, like, his heel run where he has, like, the one-strap singlet.
Right.
And then, like, for maybe the Chase or normal, like, you know, like, pre that where he wears trunks and, like...
Yeah. I wish I'd gotten to see him in his prime, because even when I was really into wrestling, he was kind of limited. I mean, you're always going to be limited being that huge, but
right, he was.
I'm not sure if I ever saw him like at his peak. You know what I mean? I think it was probably before I started.
Bradshaw and Farouk, which I don't think that they've done Acolytes version, so that'd be cool.
The APA were awesome.
I think they should do Acolytes though.
I was like, just something else I was just hearing. There's some group that's what they wanted to do was basically be the APA again. Anyways, I can't remember.
And then
I got all these half stories.
And then DX Army X-Pac.
Nice.
X-Pac.
Yeah, cool.
And then a possible Ultimate Edition of Mr. America, Hulk Hogan.
Yes. Ugh.
Yeah. And some Elite Multi-Packs, which nothing specific other than Elite Multi-Packs.
Nice. So we can just imagine whatever your favorite multi-packs would be, and then until you're disappointed, just pretend it's that for now.
Undisputed Era in the camo gear,
or
in the red gear, or Undisputed Era.
Anything else?
And Elite Umaga, I think. So
Umanga?
I do want another Umanga.
Umanga. Poor Regal. Just can't say Umaga.
Umanga.
Anything else?
No.
That is all? Kirk Angel. We are done, and we are done early for us. So this might be even up and published and available to you, the listener, a bit early. And we're going to go for a late lunch now and
we just
pick up our booster juice. We just decided to power through and get it done. Such a beautiful day outside.
I'll tell you what I've got for booster juice. Funky Monkey. I don't even have it yet.
And I'll be getting the Strawberry Storm, and then I think you're getting some Dirty Bird on the way.
I am getting chicken.
Yeah, KFC, and I will not, because gross, but I'll figure something out. But anyways... we really appreciate you listening, taking some time to hang out with us a bit on whatever day I was going to say Saturday, but you don't have to listen on a Saturday. Could be any day.
You don't have to listen at all. I'm just kidding. Yes, you do.
So contact us. I don't think I said it in the beginning. If you're still listening, fnswrestling@gmail.com.
If you've made it this far, good
FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram.
If you made it this far, thank you and good job.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Turn it off. We're done.
Comment if this goes on YouTube. Watch and comment that you made it to the end. I'm sure you'll get a response. We'll
100% you will.
Or message us or whatever.
Yep.
Contact us in some form.
We'd love to hear from any of you. You probably expect Hell in a Cell review Monday or Tuesday, I would guess.
No matter how much I will not enjoy it.
We'll come back down and talk about that.
Probably Monday. I don't think I have time on Tuesday.
So keep an eye out for that wherever you happen to listen to us. We hope to see you back then. And until then, take care.